right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fix for New York Libertarian Podcast. The reason we call it the Fix for New York is number one, because we're all New Yorkers.
Yes, indeed. That's
And number two, the spillover effect, simply because if you fix New York, you pretty much fix the entire planet.
Oh, yes.
We could all agree on that. The libertarian movement, the liberty movement, is a grassroots movement, and it is so grassroots that Larry, you could agree on this. We're still trying to get things up and running, but we are getting better and better daily. And within the days, the weeks, the months, and years to come, you're gonna see everything go from silver to gold to platinum to diamond.
Ooh, I like it. To diamond. That's good. I like diamonds. That's really good. So tell me, why did you even bother doing this?
Why did I bother doing
Why did you even bother? I mean, there's lots of things you could have done. You decided, I'm going to sit here and do this
Absolutely.
Fix for New York thing with this crazy man when you didn't have to, but you chose to do it. Why?
At a very young age, I saw indoctrination of young kids in public schools politically, telling them they have to vote a certain way or another because simply identity politics or other financial reasons in their households. And I've always felt that people can break stereotypes and be free thinkers and vote how they want to. And
what's funny is that, me growing up as a kid in the Bronx, I remember not understanding what a minority was.
Okay.
Like not understanding, because so many people in my world were black or brown.
Yes.
Right. So when people said, "Oh, you're a minority," I'm like, "Not where I live." I know what you're talking about. Not where I live. I'm not a minority where I live. Right. I'm stretching to find white people. Right. Is where I am. Right. That's what I'm looking for. Where I was. And so I remember that idea of identity politics. Right. You voted for the color of your skin or your class, even, right? Even class, right? Your class was this. You voted by class, or you voted by race or ethnic background. I think you're right. I saw a lot of that as a kid.
Something that bothered me was the misconception that class is associated with race. And it's simply not. It never is. There's rich people of all races. There's poor people of all races. You're not defined by your class isn't your race. It's just not the same thing.
Right.
And I hated seeing that.
But I do think you will find people use that as the same, right? The deal. If you ever remember, this is the thing about integration that's so good, and you find both the left and the right fight this. When you begin to integrate, you also wind up by default integrating race into class.
Yes.
Right. It's why you find the white kid with dreads. Right. It's why you find that, right? Because you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's why you find that kid, right?
It was hilarious. I'm sorry to interrupt. You said the white kid with dreads. I was literally just thinking about, wow, we have a lot of libertarians in Florida, which ironically is where you find the most white kids with dreads.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
true.
Absolutely. You find it, and if you get mad and call it cultural appropriation or something like that, and I say, look, if you want to have a short haircut and then say, well, now you're all of a sudden being white, or you shave your head, now you're being black, that's silly.
I'll tell you, Larry, I'd rather cultural appropriation than segregation.
Agreed.
Why can't we just, you like a style, do it?
Absolutely.
Not everything has to be so thin line and you do this, you do that because of your skin color, your religion, or your class. What makes you happy?
I remember I called somebody, one of my friends, I called my rabbi.
Okay.
I'm not Jewish.
Yeah.
But I called him my rabbi. And someone was like, "Are you Jewish?" I'm like, "No, but that's the feeling. Like that's the emotion." Yes, that's
like
right.
A rabbi to myself and
here we go. So I want to be the rabbi, right? And this is bad. I'm not culturally appropriating Judaism.
It's literally a Hebrew word used to, I think it translates directly to teacher.
There we go. There we go. So if I use that word, am I all of a sudden a culturally appropriating Judaism?
You're canceled now.
I'm canceled now. Canceled. Exactly. I'm done. That's it. I'm canceled. But no, I do think that we want to try to not use class or race to decide how somebody votes. I see why people do it. I do. But the problem is, as you know, elections and voting and all these things, they're emotional. They're emotional.
And the politicians speak directly into that.
100%. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, you have to feel, when it comes to libertarians, I see it's constant. If you come from the left or come from the right, you tend to have a negative feeling for the other.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
And so it shouldn't be like
that. It shouldn't be, but it's true, right? If you come from the right, you tend to go, yeah, the left is worse.
Yeah. Those are drug grabbers.
Those are drug lovers. Absolutely, yes. If you come from the left, you go, yeah, the right's worse.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of feel that way, right? Yes. And
to me, the left and the right are both worse. That's why we're all here in the kind of third party.
My point is, I don't actually mind if you think either's worse.
Yeah.
My point is, and I'm okay with it totally. My issue is I don't want you to force your view on others.
Sure.
I'm okay if you think the right's worse or left is worse. Okay.
As you said yourself, as liberal as conservative, you want under a libertarian society.
Absolutely. And the example I give you is the Amish all the time.
Yes.
The Amish are voluntarily socialists. Under a libertarian world, the Amish can exist.
Absolutely.
In their own world, they can be as socialist as they want to be in their own world, but not under an authoritarian. How can I say that's true? Look at the Hasidic Jewish community. The Hasidic Jewish community is under attack by Governor Cuomo.
Absolutely.
Right? A libertarian governor says, good luck, guys. Be who you want to be. Your religious rights are you. I'm not you, but I don't have to be you.
Yep.
You can be who you want to be. But Governor Cuomo goes, no, you can't. No. Remember, in an authoritarian world, socialism cannot exist. In a libertarian world, it can voluntarily. Enjoy. You want to be on the Israel had the kibbutz. Is that what it's called? Whatever that thing is, when they go the commune they have.
Yes.
Enjoy. Go do that. It's voluntary.
I've never heard that before.
I think it's called the kibbutz. I may get it wrong.
It's like a community.
It's a community. It's like a commune. But it's a voluntary commune. You go, you don't like it, you leave, whatever.
You want to buy some land in Montana and have all your friends go out and farm and do whatever you want to do? Go for it.
Enjoy.
Just don't take your farm in Montana and try and take over the rest of the state.
We're good.
Or the rest of the world or country. Do what you want to do in your own little. You buy your property.
100%.
It's America. You own land. Own your land and do what you want.
And that's what the Libertarian Party is about. You see how you guys just said that subconsciously, not even involving a titled political party into it.
Mm-hmm.
We're about live and let be, as long as you're respecting and reciprocating that same concept to the outside.
You just brought up the most important word that only libertarians even deal with in any way, shape, or form: respect.
Yes.
If you right now hear the average liberal say the word conservative, or the average conservative say the word liberal, that is an insult. That's not a descriptor. Libertarian says it's a descriptor. You're describing where someone is. They're more conservative. They're more liberal.
Right, leaning left.
That's correct. That's a descriptor for us. It's not a derogatory term. It's a descriptor. But when a liberal says conservative or conservative says liberal, that's an insult. There's no respect. There's no. It's you're a liberal. You're a conservative. I don't have to listen to you. You're by default wrong or bad or evil or whatever.
What we have to realize is we're all Americans and see different solutions to
God,
our
yes.
communities. And you can't force those solutions upon the rest of the country or the community next to you. You can enforce that in your home and in your local community. It's really that simple.
So, all right. You see, that right there, that's amazing because it ties into how you said we're all United States citizens. We're on this particular land. I was watching a live stream yesterday with George Wilkinson, don't know the abbreviation nickname for her, JoJo. With this woman, Gloria Alvarez, I think the name was.
Yes.
And she was saying, a lot of Hispanics now are looking to get more involved in United States politics simply because this is their home now.
Right.
And they're not looking to go back to their domestic nations, where they're originally from anytime soon. This is the home now. So when they look at the Libertarian Party, they could look at it through their own lens without having any bias. But we're not going to deny the fact that there's people in their ear from both sides telling them the exact same thing, that libertarians are radicalists, extremists, lunatics, when in all actuality, and this is me paraphrasing her, not me making it up myself, she says, we're actually the ones that are the most about the rights, liberty, freedom of the individual, and most abiding by the United States Constitution, which is the land that they're located on now. If you're living all the way at the bottom of the Keys of Florida to the very tip of Alaska, you're in the United States.
I think the media likes to make a lot of cultural groups, Hispanics, blacks, whites, feel that they are just guests in this country. But they're no longer guests in this country. We're all American citizens, no matter where our background's from.
Well, this is an issue that I want to bring up that's really important. We hear it constantly in the rhetoric of Democrats, Republicans, and sometimes even libertarians. We got to fight the right. We got to fight the left. I don't want to fight the right. I don't want to fight the left. Yes, they're all Americans. Who am I gonna? I'm starting a civil war. I'm gonna beat the guy up next to me because he likes Trump or he likes Biden.
Biden sign, and
He's got a Biden sign. I'm gonna go beat him up now. I mean, there's two guys saying Trump 2020. I'm gonna go beat him up. I don't. How's it gonna? And let's say I did. I decided I'm gonna rid the world of all the left and right. I beat up every Trump supporter, right? Great. I beat them all up. I beat up all the Biden supporters. Great. Did I change their mind?
No.
No. I made them hate me more. Now they're deeper in Biden.
Now they're having a job. It's not just a
and now they're gonna come after me next, right? I may think I'm cool now, but
fist fight to a knife fight to a gun fight.
Absolutely. I don't want to quit. Look, people say all the time, but Larry, what about things like Nazis or communists? Don't you want to fight them? Okay, we played that game already. In the 30s, in Germany, there were literally fights in the streets to stop Nazis. How'd that work? We still got Nazis.
Yes.
We fought a war against Nazis, literally for us, America, 4 years. For them, 6 years. We fought, dropped millions of bombs, lost tens of millions of people, died, occupied a country, nuked the country. Guess what we still have? Nazis.
Yes.
They didn't go away.
It wasn't as much of a humanitarian solution as we had wanted, I guess.
Exactly. But if you get people to not want to be Nazis, there won't be any Nazis.
And to get them there, would you guys agree that it's more about explanations, having good dialogue, along with listening to the other side, let them get their
It all starts with the conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Grab a beer and talk to whoever.
There you go. Grab a
Yes.
beer.
Sort it out. You know.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Because I just want to put a stamp on this. Some people, they see me in particular and they say, "Oh, you're pretty quick to jump towards violence and all that." But what they don't see is what got me to that point. And what got me to that point is that I'm trying to explain things to people. I get made fun of, and in some instances, minorly threatened. We'll leave it at that. So it's just like, oh, okay.
Allegedly.
So if that's the case, hey, I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna let you know I'm not a pushover, just like the porcupine, our lovely logo. The porcupine will give warning gestures because obviously, up until now, until we get the technology more advanced, to that point, we can't hear the porcupine talk and dialogically. Is that the word I'm looking for?
It is today.
Dialogically, explain itself, saying, "Hey, buzz off. I'm not looking for problems with you, so buzz off."
Right.
And all that. So that's where the spikes, the quills, actually start to spread and pop up more.
Absolutely.
So that's how I go about it, and how you said when you just try to go right away into an extreme brute force, you're gonna harm a lot of people, and it's gonna lead to just beyond the immediate instant harm. It's gonna be long-term harm that once we get to that point is way more difficult to get back.
And I don't want to go there, right? People tell me all the time, well, Larry, this happened yesterday in my podcast. Some guy says, hey, Larry, when has it got to be 1776, right? When is it that? And what I'm saying is, I hope never.
Yeah.
Right. I know I'm not so naive to think that it might not get there. It's possible. It might get there. I don't want it to get there. I don't want the solution to be violence. We still have repercussions from our last civil war, 160 years ago. We still feel it to this day.
Absolutely.
Do I want another civil war so I can feel the next 300 years? I don't want that. I want us to solve our problems using the ballot box. There is a way of doing it. Can happen. It's hard. And I'll go with what Gandhi said. And Gandhi is, as you know, I've talked about this before, is one of my heroes. And I know people get mad at me. He was a socialist. Shut up. He was Gandhi. Stop. Stop that socialist crap. Yeah. Right. And I'll cover that in a second. But anyway, let me do what Gandhi talked about. When Gandhi existed during World War II. And people came to him and said, look, you're nonviolence. How the hell is that going to work against a guy like Hitler? That can't work against Hitler. He said, not without defeats. But don't you have defeats when you're fighting your war against them too? And they were like, yeah. So yeah, will we lose if we use the ballot box? Yes. Would we lose if we fought a physical war? Yes. We would lose battles either way. There would be casualties either way.
The solution is the ballot box.
Thank you.
The short-term solution, which isn't even a short-term solution, the short-term way to make even more problems is to have a war.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I'm all about the ballot box. So let me quickly touch this socialist before we have all time. The other thing I said to the guy who said, when is it 1776? I said, right now in America, There is no 1776.
1917, right?
It's 1917 Russia. Yes, what it is right now. They would say, what does that mean? In Russia, 1917, they had a monarchy, right? They had their emperor, their Tsar, who controlled them for 300 years. And then they saw some hope, communism. And I say, communism, is that a hope? When you don't know any better, yes. When you know that the emperor, this sucks, that I'm sure of, right? This I'm in, I know sucks. Yeah. This guy's, Lenin is saying communism is awesome. I don't know if it's awesome, but I know this sucks.
It's worth a try, maybe.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Then when they find out, oh, this sucks too. Yeah. This also sucks. Okay, well that's okay. Well, they both suck. Yeah, they do. But the problem is, it's a right monarchy or a left communist, but it's just who's going to control you.
Exactly.
That's where we are now in America. It's will the right control you or the left control you.
We're fighting for their masters right now.
Bingo. We have to have a bigger movement. When we have a larger movement, then it becomes 1776. Absolutely. Then we're fighting liberty versus tyranny versus right now it's who is your master.
Absolutely.
Speaking of 1776, I just got alerted that there's beers in the freezer. Which I'm gonna excuse myself real quick to get them out of there. They drank a lot of beer in 1776.
They
that's
did.
how George Washington kept militiamen involved in the United States.
Kept them calm and focused.
Yes. Well, there's a couple things that people don't realize. You realize how much coffee was an important thing.
Got mine right here.
Yeah, coffee too. I do libertarian drink coffee live because coffee was a big deal. Yes. Coffee kept people awake at night.
Yes.
Along with candles.
Candles.
That's
Why
where
candles?
coffee out because there was no light.
Oh, okay.
So they had candles and coffee. That was a thing. Like how do we got to work during the day because we've got farmers, we've got stores that are open during the day. So when do you go plotting and planning? You plot and plan at night.
With candles and coffee.
With your candles and coffee. That's when you sit back and you plot and you scheme to make something work. So yes, coffee was a big deal. Otherwise you fall asleep. You literally are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning with chickens.
Yeah.
So you gotta stay up. That's coffee.
That's the way to do it.
You see how you guys were just talking about how it's very polarized. For those who don't know what polarized means, to summarize, and I'll go by definition. To summarize it is it's only going one way. So it could be polarized left or polarized right. Again, with the words that came out of Gloria Alvarez, pardon me, confused her with the celebrity Gloria Velez. Shout out to her, by the way. Gloria Alvarez, the libertarian, how she said yesterday that with the Hispanics coming here as an example, along with many other different ethnic groups, when you look at the United States Constitution, it is to prevent polarization. Its root is always reverting back to, is the individual being forced against their will? Is the individual being restricted from being able to live their life to their fullest potential? With polarization.
Yeah. My worry here is something that a lot of people spend a lot of time on. I hear all the time. They fight on where do my rights come from?
Yeah.
Do my rights come from natural rights? Do they come from God? Do they come from the Constitution? Do they come from whatever? And you rarely hear me discuss this. And the reason why is, at its core, it doesn't matter. Why? Because
inalienable.
Yes, because what doesn't matter is because if your society says you have no rights, you have no rights. It doesn't matter where they come from. If your society says you have no rights, you can say, well, I own this house. If your society says you don't, you don't.
If your society is atheist, you have no God-given rights.
That's correct. Yes.
If your society is anti-constitutional, you have no constitutional rights.
That's correct. Yes. And if your society says you don't have right to defend yourself, you don't, because they will come kill you.
Yes.
They will just come kill you. They will just take it. So what you hear me constantly talk about is changing culture. I'm always talking about changing culture. If the culture says, you're right, man, then you're right. Because your society says, yeah, these are our rights. Of course they are. And that's why a document the Constitution is so important, because it becomes that third party that says it's correct. It's not me saying I have these rights. It's this document that we agree upon that says we have these rights. And that can help people go, oh yeah, maybe we do.
Yeah, it's funny you say, I don't know where my rights come from out of the Constitution, if it's God-given, but what I love about the Constitution is that the Constitution protects citizens from a very powerful central government. It restricts the government first and foremost. That's the way I interpret it, at least.
Along with that, what people always say is, or I have my freedom of speech. I have a right towards that. People use that example and then want to get away from the United States Constitution. All right, where is your First Amendment located at? Your freedom of speech, where is it located at? Within the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution is just like any sport. Baseball needed a foundation. All right, this is the setup. You have your diamond shaped field. You got first base, second base, third base, home base. At home base, the batter is gonna bat, the catcher is gonna be there to catch the ball from the pitcher's mound. The pitcher is gonna project, direct, send, whatever term you want to use, send the ball, throw the ball, pitch the ball, direct in that direction. You're going to hit it, and within this field, once the ball has made contact with the bat, if it lands on land, not being caught by the other team's players, it's fair game. You gotta get to it as fast as possible because that runner who just made contact with his baseball
Why are you
bat.
explaining baseball to us?
Because basically the whole
I'm
structure
just
of
curious.
the United States Constitution is the structure, the basis, the
Ah,
foundation.
that's what.
I
Okay,
think
sorry.
I think
Okay.
it's usually lasagna.
I didn't get. Okay, now I get. Okay, now I see.
No,
I'm
because
sorry about that.
I'm
We're
explaining.
talking about the World Series.
I know. I was like,
no,
wait a
What's the
minute,
game?
okay.
I'm explaining the structure because again, within the United States, that is the basis, the structure of
Right.
it. You can't come into a baseball game. Even if I don't make contact, I'm gonna run to first base, second base, third base,
Right.
sliding
Right.
home, and
That's true.
I scored one for
Yes.
the team.
I
No,
like they wrapped it up.
so
That was good. Yeah.
you need
Well, no, I get to run up first because I'm special.
Yeah,
exactly.
See, I got a special class, so I get to start on first base.
absolutely.
Everybody else got to hit. I start on first base, right?
The
Exactly.
participation trophy.
Exactly right. But I swing the bat really hard. Don't I get like half a base? I tried.
So
Actually, you
Yeah.
get a strike because it's a foul ball.
There we go. Yes.
So it works against your favor.
it's just like the rule of sports, the supreme rule law of the land, the United States Constitution. Each sport has its own basic structure, like that. There's not chaos, like that. We can move forward. That's what the United States Constitution is about. Look,
So I want to go to something more important, I think, right now.
go ahead.
We're talking about New York, the
Mhm.
fix for New York, specifically the Bronx. Man, the Bronx is hard. The Bronx is a Democratic stronghold. It's difficult to break through, even for Republicans, not just libertarians. Republicans hard to break through.
Yep.
Even the Greens don't do well in the Bronx, right? Because the Democrats really dominate the Bronx. They really do. In fact, when I ran for governor, that was my worst county of all the
Really?
counties.
Wow.
All the counties, the
Your
entire,
home borough too, right?
and it's my home. It's where I'm raised.
And
Yes,
I feel so terrible for
yes.
that.
It was my
because-
worst turnout. Was in the Bronx of all 60 counties. It was I got less than 1%.
I was
In that
part of
county.
that less than percent.
Thank you for your vote. Yes, less than 1%.
Now,
How do we break into an area like the Bronx? How do we do
Well,
something?
here's
like
what I tell people. Everyone wants to vote Democrat. They've been told Democrats are the solution for the people.
Yep.
They care about people,
Yep.
fighting the police, war on poverty, all that good stuff. But has that really ended? Or has it just gotten
Mhm.
stronger under Democratic
it
politicians?
has gotten
We cannot
stronger.
keep acting like Democrats have the solutions when they keep making more problems as well. So we have to let people know that they're not solving anything. They're just allowing it to happen. Let's try something new. As in 1917, they wanted to try communism.
Yep.
Let's try libertarianism. The Bronx. I love you. Let's try something new.
That's
Well,
right.
I could elaborate also. This is the thing with the Bronx, along with many other boroughs, but I think the Bronx statistically has the most people on Section D.
Yeah.
Within the 5 boroughs.
It's the poorest of the boroughs.
Yeah, so that's one thing that has kept people voting Democrat because to their knowledge up until this point, and it's kind of been proven because the only other party that the majority are informed of, even though now we are growing thanks to this man right here, it's been teamwork, but I gotta give him his just due. We're taking a lot of people and enlightening them on the 1 train, 4 train, and 2 train
Sure. Yes.
sides of the Bronx. All we're missing
train.
is a 6 train.
That's
That's all. Once we touch back there, we've got the Bronx, and we're letting them know, hey, libertarians are another option. 1, they're not Republicans, and they can find a middle ground for people who do need sectioning, for people who do need WIC, for people who do need any type of public assistance.
Well, we talked about that, right? If you remember when I told the idea that if you're in any kind of public housing at all, we should have a plan to where you can own that place, where you can take your money you're getting from the government and you can buy that place. You have an option to buy it and have ownership. Okay. People just get mad at me and go, wait a minute, Larry, we're paying them to own it? We have two choices. We can get them to actually own the damn thing and take ownership of it, or we can pay their rent forever. That's their option, right? There's only two choices. Pay their rent forever.
Help them up or help them forever.
Or allow them to have some ownership. Now here's the funny thing, and if anybody listening or watching has ever had a situation to where you were a renter that became an owner, there is an emotional mindset change that happens when it's yours. It just is. So imagine all the people who are right now in public housing. Give them a choice, not a requirement, option. Do you want to start paying off and become an owner?
Yes.
Right? And if you have, say, 5 years in, or whatever the case may be, you get X number of percentage chance to own, whatever the case may be. Come with a plan. UK did it in London. It worked well. But what winds up happening is some people say, I'm going to be an owner. And those who become an owner, they start caring about their apartment more.
Well,
they start taking charge of it. Yes.
Humanity needs ownership.
It makes the mindset of, I'm going to own some property, own something. But more importantly, what's one of the biggest worries, not as much in the Bronx, but more in Manhattan and Brooklyn, but also the Bronx, gentrification.
Yes.
Right? More in Manhattan and Brooklyn than the Bronx.
Yes.
But a lot of gentrification is the problem. Who hates gentrification? Renters. Owners don't.
They like it.
Owners love it.
Starbucks down the block. Okay.
Absolutely.
My rent just went up.
My rent, yes, exactly right. You know, the value of my home just went up.
Absolutely.
But not just that, they also control gentrification. They can decide, I'm not going to sell my house to the yuppie couple. I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep it in my family or my home or whatever.
And they have that right to.
They can, or I'm going to rent it to somebody and make some cash for myself. Maybe I can buy another apartment or something like that. So when you change the mindset to an ownership mindset, that's the only way of making this actually.
And New York City is very far from an ownership.
100% so far. So
we've done the opposite. We lease homes. We don't own anything.
Yes.
Now, since you brought that up, would that the correct term for that process of from switching from being a renter / leaser to owning, would that be called deeds instead?
Yes, you will get a deed. Exactly. Right. You don't officially. Actually, the bank officially gets the deed, right? Because the bank actually still owns it officially. But you are considered a homeowner in our culture, right? Even the bank actually owns the deed.
The bank owns it.
The bank officially owns it.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, correct. Banks own everything. Right? They actually officially own it. But eventually, if you paid off the mortgage, you would get the deed yourself. You would own the property. Yes, that's what will work. But what I want to do is change the mindset. Like I bring this up when I do coaching and help other people do things. When you make one change in your life, other things happen, right? If you ever say, I want to get better shape, right? You want to get better shape. So you decide, I'm going to eat better or whatever. I'm going to work out or whatever thing you do. Or I'm going to get up early or I'm not going to drink so much or whatever's the thing you decide is your step. You decide you're going to start working out, say. That's your decision. You find out when you start to work out, you start doing it, what also begins to happen? You start drinking a little bit less because you don't want to put all that beer calories. You don't want to have your hangover. Start to eat a little bit better, right? You start to do other things when the one thing that you become bingo, it begins to happen.
One positive followed with many more positives.
100%. And I think if you start to get people who are in a bad situation to just change the mindset to an ownership mindset, many other things will start happening. They'll start caring about, how do they spend their money? What do they do with their money? What kind of job they have? They're going to get promoted. All those things will start to happen. I think you see it often.
And not to bring up problems and not solutions, but an issue that we have in ownership and just that mentality is people don't even take ownership for their own decisions in their personal lives.
100%. Well, why would you when you're not responsible?
Exactly. Nobody's responsible for anything. Everything is the world's fault.
Yep.
Nobody owns anything. They don't own their own decisions. They don't own anything.
Nothing. So why would you bother?
So how can you ever own a house or own a car or own anything?
People respond to their environments.
Yes.
And when the environment is, you'd be dumb to own anything. Why own anything? What's your responsibility? People don't. When you have an environment that says, of course you should, right? You know, I was talking about this earlier, right? You look at, if you want to be someone who rents, right? You want to be a property owner, you want to do 2 or 3 rentals in New York State. You are rolling the dice, man. You are in trouble in New York State.
Absolutely.
Instead of us deciding to make it easier for people to buy homes and rent them out, we've done the opposite. We've passed laws that protect the renter.
And only hurt the owner.
That's correct. So what we've done is we've ensured that the renter is now considered a protected class. So people want to be it. You want to be a renter. And what's the worst part? In this rule where people say, see, we're going to get the big landowners. It's the reverse. If you have 3 units, right? You're an owner, you have 3 units. And one of your guys or gals doesn't pay the rent, you're in trouble.
Yes, absolutely.
2 doesn't pay the rent, you've lost your home. Yeah. But what if you have 100 units? 4 don't pay the rent. Whatever. You got 96 units paying rent. You're fine. The world's not going to end. And you're going to put a lawyer, throw them out.
Yes.
And you probably, if you have 200 or 300, you have goons to throw them out on top.
Yeah, they're going to take care of that.
You know what I'm talking about, right? I wish that was a bad thing. I wasn't true, but that's true.
It's just the truth.
It's just true. You got goons.
Life isn't always so beautiful.
That's correct. Exactly. You got goons to make your life miserable so they leave. That's how that works, right? So what it does is the attempt to protect the renter actually reinforces a renter class and then ensures that only the elites and the wealthy actually win.
Specifically Democratic politicians in New York City
100%.
and New York State want.
Yes.
They want us all under this renter, I don't know if you call it slavery, but they want us on this class where we're all the same and they're all at the top.
Yep.
And well, it's not good. It's not good.
You're absolutely right about that. But to add to that, Republicans still got to take blame as well because they don't go out of their way to educate people about that.
Absolutely. They're terrible at communicating with any. Republicans are terrible at communicating in the inner city, period.
Exactly. So when that happens, you can't just say, hey, try us.
Right.
And not have any valid reason to do so besides saying, hey, we're not done.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then, especially within urban society, urban United States, when they hear the word Republican, they think of 3 things. I'm going to be forced to be something that I don't want to be, that has to fit their acceptance.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be forced to deal with constant judgment if I don't go to church.
Yep.
And more than likely, there's going to be a massive spike in cops.
Yes, that's what I think.
And
you're right.
racism.
And racism. I think that is exactly the image that comes.
Even though historically, Democratic Party was the party of the KKK, and the KKK was their military militia, whatever you want to consider it.
I think you're right, though. That is the image. I think you're right.
And it's a dangerous image, and it stems from lies.
And Maj Touré speaks of this all the time.
Shout out to Maj.
Right, yes, absolutely. I was at his Solutionary Summit in September. And when I went down there, a big issue people were talking about was how bad the right is at talking to the urban community, talking to Black community in general. Not good at all, failing constantly. And thinking, oh, well, we have Candace Owens, so now we're set. Yeah. We don't realize that the audience of Candace Owens is white.
Yes.
There's not a Black audience there, right? The audience is white.
Black Americans do not like Candace Owens.
They don't like her.
They call her white.
Absolutely.
They call her terrible things
they don't go to her.
She thinks differently.
Yes.
And that's not okay either. But the problem is there's not enough Candace Owens, and there's not enough.
No, there's not enough people who aren't like Candace Owens, right? You have to have people who are like Maj.
Yes,
exactly.
Well, who's that other? Klasick is her name? I think her name is
Kimberly Klasick from Baltimore. Yes. She's doing an incredible job.
If you find someone like Kimberly Klasick, she's more. The people are more open to her.
Yes.
Because at least what Kimberly does is she actually goes to the actual community. Yes. She's there. Candace doesn't do that. Candace sits in her gated community and points and goes, "You Black people aren't doing well." Yeah. That's what she does, and people feel it and go, "Well, I'm not listening to you." Yeah. Right? I don't
yelling at me here.
Yeah, yelling. I don't want to hear that. Yes. But Kimberly actually goes into the neighborhood and goes, "No, I'm here with you."
Yes, absolutely.
I'm here with you, so I will talk to you. Right?
We did recently lose someone very important to the New York City Black conservative culture, which King Face. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He recently passed away, but he was very important.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know he passed.
Yes, he did.
When did he pass?
A couple months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, he was sick. Okay. But he was someone that was actually out in the streets, changing people's minds day in and day out.
Absolutely.
So Kimberly Klasick, though, is a very incredible story. She has like millions of views on her campaign commercials and everything. She's doing a really good job, and I really hope she wins Baltimore, whatever district.
I've been involved in 3 different network marketing companies. One thing they have always put an emphasis on is when you construct a team, and they always said, like, within politics are nothing more than constructed teams. When you construct a team, you recruit to your weaknesses. Yeah, right? The Republican Party has not done that. And in my personal opinion, before anybody gets offended, because they like calling out the left, but they engage in emotional behavior as well. When you don't construct a team of people who could be relatable to the demographic you want to approach the
Yes.
most, you're not gonna have results.
Yes.
When it came to network marketing, we knew you couldn't go to the projects in Harlem in a suit and
Yes.
explain to people, or in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, whatever, explain to people in a suit, hey, this is our network marketing company. Check out. They're not trying to hear that.
Yeah, they don't trust you. You
Exactly,
trust
they
them,
don't
you look
trust you.
different from them,
Yes.
and that's what
Mhm.
people think.
Vice versa, if you go to suburban for the most part, because now we're seeing the suburban take like that more urban touch as
That's
well.
true.
You're
Balance, for
seeing,
sure.
yeah, you're seeing more of a balance, but you know, that's just in recent years. But for the most part, when you go to suburban demographic areas, you got to look a little bit more business
Yes.
attired and
Absolutely.
all that, because more than likely, statistically, you're gonna come across those people who are gonna receive that
Sure.
better.
Absolutely.
You gotta know the demographic you're approaching.
You gotta know your audience.
Exactly. You gotta know your audience. Thank you.
Yes.
You gotta know your audience.
100%. You have to know your audience.
So that's what we've seen for decades already happen, and the Libertarian Party is the only party offering that solution, because we have it is a giant bowl of Lucky Charms. You know,
Okay.
you have people different colors,
Yep.
different shapes, and all that working together, and we're the ones seeing. All right, if you're a libertarian who leans left, you could go in this direction, talk to the socialists, to the poetry people, to the heavy artistic, to the goths, to the hip hop heads, etc. If you're a libertarian who leans right, it's easier to talk to people.
Second Amendment.
Yeah, Second
Yes.
Amendment.
Constitutionalist.
Yeah, constitutionalist.
Yep.
Although at the core, hip hop is conservative.
It
Guns,
is.
money,
It is. It is.
conservative values. Libertarian conservative
Yeah,
values. Not
yeah.
bad. They just
Libertarian
don't
conservative,
realize that. but,
Exactly.
This is the point you bring up is a valid one, and it bothers me. I'm gonna bring up both 50 Cent and Ice Cube talking
Yes.
about that, right?
And also a couple more too. But
Yeah, but those are most recent.
yeah,
Yeah,
Roy
most
Pump
recent
too
one.
recently. There's been a few.
Oh, I
didn't know that.
Yes.
But my concern is when the Democratic Party failed them, they didn't come to us. They went Republican.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's our loss.
It is. It
Right?
really is.
We should have been bigger, stronger, faster. To all your points, we should have been there more to be like, no. Democrats didn't do your job. We're here. Don't go Republican. Come to us. We're here. We're ready to do it.
How many likes Ice Cube got on his initial posting saying he was going for the Trump team? How many likes 50 Cent got when he said he didn't want to be 20 Cent and he's not voting for Biden? If we had a third or a quarter of those votes from those likes,
Absolutely.
it would have been pretty nice.
Absolutely. If we would have had Ice Cube or 50 Cent come to any one of our podcasts, come to any one of our worlds and said, who's this? What? Librarians? What you guys?
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys.
I've been
Any of
called a
that.
librarian many times.
Fine, librarians, fine. Call me whatever you want. Come on my show. I don't care what you want to call me.
Absolutely.
Call me anything. Just come on my show.
You're invited, 50 Cent. You're invited,
Yes,
Ice Cube.
if 50
Please come
Cent,
on the
if you
show.
happen to be
If you're
watching,
watching this,
You are 100%
and
invited
please, I'd love
anytime.
to be there as well too.
I will change my time, any whatever I'll do whatever. Midnight, Saturday morning. Do done.
Now,
Don't care.
in Libertarian Party defense, there are some just like Maj, just like myself, just like Anthony Colangelo, Eric
Yep.
July, and Leon War.
Yep.
Who are trying to reach out to these guys.
Absolutely.
and-
Monterey just
and-
recently met with Royce the 5'9".
Oh, okay.
So,
So
I'm
I'm
not
pretty
sure
sure
how that conversation went, but
that's
it
exactly
doesn't
what I was
hurt that
gonna say.
Monterey's talking to someone.
Yes,
like that,
we
you know?
don't know where that conversation went, but more than likely, you could put the
Well, at
money
least
on
he
the
had
table.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
At
He
least
had
he's
it.
talking about
Yes.
So Royce is somewhere out there like,
Yes,
this
exactly.
Libertarian Party. What is that?
So
Yes.
that's something I've been trying to emphasize with libertarians a lot, because the first time I saw JoJo in what would I say, like mid central New Jersey, when she was heading in the tri-state area direction, the libertarians, when they saw me and found out that I'm a libertarian, and that I'm an urban libertarian, urban demographic, the first thing to their questions towards me were, how do you get people in urban society to find out more about us? And I said, very simple. You find guys like me who are always, well, I've already found the option. I've been a libertarian solidly since Ron Paul. You find guys like us and utilize us, get behind us, and move in that direction acknowledging this is a demographic that approach, and if this is the guy or the guys who could deliver here, we're gonna get behind them. Any type of what's the word I'm looking for here?
Support.
Support.
Like come on their podcast.
Yes.
That would be one thing you could
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
Libertarians, one thing you could do, come on their podcast.
More than welcome to come,
We
guys.
appreciate all guests.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Say anybody. We're a Democrat, Republican, Green, Independent, Sam.
I'll even talk to a communist.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
You know, shout out Julio Pabon. And it's funny because
He was on my show.
yeah, Julio
It's really nice
Pabon,
guy,
as a
too.
title
Very nice guy.
communist, exercises a lot of actions of capitalism.
Yes, he does.
So that's what we gotta do. We gotta start trying new things and try to figure out who's already moving in that direction. You
Yes.
know, how Marsh said at a CPAC event, he said, you conservatives, and there's libertarians here as well, but you conservatives so worried about getting the urban demographic. What individuals are you reaching out to trying to make that change already? And how are you trying to adjust yourself as well?
Yes.
I told these libertarians who not to be any type of racist or anything, just acknowledging ethnic
Acknowledging ethnicity.
yeah, acknowledging ethnicity. They were whites, you know, and they said, oh, you know, it's tough for guys like us to go into urban demographic and explain to people. So I said, all right, when whenever you find out that an event is occurring, you see, hey, is there a dress code or anything? Okay, if there is a dress code, you abide by that dress code. An urban demographic, you have people more on the urban fashion, the hip hop
Yep.
fashion, and all that, to try to look the
Or on
part.
some Jordans. Why not?
But
Yeah.
there's something else to think also.
Yeah.
They're right, but there's something else.
Yes.
Look, I was able to connect to farmers,
Mhm.
not because I was a farmer, because I showed up there more than once.
Yes,
I mean, that's the more
Persistence.
important. Yes, you know, if I just show up and go, "Hi," let me show up to, oh, you urban people, hi, urbanites, right? And do that one day and think, "Look, vote for me because I care about you,
And
urbanites,"
disappear
and
forever.
disappear for
Yeah.
4 years. You're not gonna care.
No.
But if I show up every couple months, every year, and I'm at more events, and I go, you know what? I care about you.
Humans feed
It
off of
matters.
trust.
Bingo.
And
Thank
you need to
you.
show them that
Yes.
you are a trustworthy candidate or whatever that may be, and they'll trust you then.
Yes.
Just talk to them, hear them out.
That-
As you do so greatly, you go all over the state.
I
And you talk to
literally-
people.
Yes.
I've been in bars with you and many other people just talking to people.
Yes.
You make it personable.
that's
Well,
exactly what I was gonna get to. You see how you said you don't show up dressing like a farmer. What I was saying was
But I
that
don't-
was,
but I don't dress the opposite either, to your point, right? I don't show up in a
Gold
suit with a
chains.
vest, and gold chains. I show up with a jacket and jeans, right? Which is closer to a farmer, but also doesn't insult the farmer.
Let's have
Exactly.
balance on both ends.
I don't show up in overalls with a straw coming out my mouth because that's
Straw
not
hat.
a straw hat. I'm not. That's not who I am. Now I'm lying, right? Now I'm
Exactly.
pandering.
Now you're
Exactly.
So I
pandering.
don't do that. But I don't pander. But do I dress down a bit? Yeah, because I'm in a rural area, right? So I do dress down a little bit, of course.
so along with that, to add to what you said was, what you do more than anything is present yourself in a manner that all I want to do is have some time to talk to you.
Yes.
Not be reciprocated. You're showing them, look, if we can have a good conversation, you'll find that we're more alike than different.
Yes.
You're presenting yourself to them with acceptance and welcoming them as well.
You mean respect?
Yes,
Yes.
respect.
Oh yeah, that word again.
That's a libertarian value
I
right there.
keep using that word. Respect. I don't have to agree. I just gotta respect.
And I don't care how people dress or what color your skin is. If you can meet me here,
Mhm.
eye to eye, mind to mind, heart to heart, that's all that matters
Mhm.
anyway. And not many people see it that way,
You
but
guys have seen me on my show, and someone will say stuff that's completely anti-libertarian.
yes.
I don't get mad at them.
No, you can't.
I never get mad at them.
There's reasons people feel the ways they do.
That-
They've
yes.
gone through things in life, they've seen things in life, and they are simply just projecting what they've encountered in life. You can't blame
Absolutely.
someone for what they've
I don't get
encountered.
mad at them. I'm like, okay, that's what you want.
And
All
at
right.
the end of the show, they usually tend to agree with you too. Anyway,
And
because
again,
of the way
my
you treat
hope
them,
is
what's
at
the
the
word?
end-
Respect.
Respect, yes. At the end of
Yes.
every show, when I have people who I know don't agree with libertarians, I hope at the end they at least go. My hope is they at least go, they're not that bad,
They're not
Yeah.
that bad. Exactly.
because eventually their team is going to screw them over. So when their team screws them over, I hope they come close.
Yes.
And it's gonna happen.
Don't forget about us.
Don't forget about us. We're still here.
With the word respect touches into as well, that they're like cousins of each other. Anti-polarization. When you show somebody respect, you're saying, hey, you might have your beliefs, your perspectives, your likes that might be different from mine, but I'm not gonna judge you and hold that against you.
Right.
But I'm gonna try to understand you and see if we can find the middle ground. That's what libertarians emphasize on a lot. And I was really happy to see with that live yesterday with Jojo and Gloria Alvarez.
Said it right. Good. Said it right.
Said it right. Shout out to the libertarians, all of my porcupines, all of our porcupines. That's what we gotta focus on a lot, because when I go to these protests, I love going to protests because you meet people from all sides. I let the left know I'm not gonna judge you for your beliefs. I let the right know I'm not gonna judge you for your beliefs. What I'm going to do to show you is that I can listen, I can respect where you're coming from, and I will do my best to show you that we can provide a middle ground.
Yes.
You guys like ice cream?
Yeah.
I love ice cream.
I hate ice cream.
See
But
that?
you know what? We could go to a Baskin Robbins together, which is predominantly ice cream serving. They might have something that you don't like.
That's right.
You don't have to agree with libertarians 100%, but hey, libertarians want me to keep as much money in my pocket as possible.
Absolutely.
Libertarians want me to be able to defend myself as much as possible. And libertarians want to allow me to engage in any type of extracurricular activity, any type of recreational activity as much as I want, as long as I am not harming any other person.
See, if you got that money, you could buy me some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you get the funny stuff, you can make sure no one takes my ice cream.
I
love that.
And it all corresponds to each other, because we're enabling the individual to take ownership of their own motherfucking life.
Yes.
Open up any type of business with little to none government regulation, allowing people to choose whether they want to interact with you, whether they want to go and shop at your establishment, if they want to engage, participate in any extracurricular activity which you're already doing, or if not, if they want to be left alone and not be penalized for whatever they choose to do with themselves that does not go hand in hand with what you're choosing to do with, it is perfectly fine as long as nobody is being harmed.
Absolutely.
It's all about consenting adults pursuing happiness.
Yep.
Whatever way it makes it right. But there's something more important to that, right? People change.
Yeah,
so what's important to somebody now may not be so important 10 years from now.
It's true.
You may have a different priority in your life.
Yep.
Right? You might 10 years from now, you might be all about building a family.
Yep.
That might be your number one priority in your life 10 years from now. And maybe not.
With me, it worked in reverse. When I was younger, my whole thing was, yeah, I people would say conservative, even though, well, the first time around I voted for Obama, I voted Democrat because that was a hype. Right. So even though I voted Democrat, my basis was libertarian, conservative, and all that, because I was just like, it's the standard. You got to be a father, you got to be a working man, you got to be the provider. Now it's changed.
Sure.
My libertarianism has evolved. I'm thinking to myself, hey, I'm an uncle of so many kids, and it's just like maybe I don't need to have kids. Maybe I do like being able to sleep in as much as I want.
Maybe
working,
absolutely,
working extra hours.
Oh, we know you like sleeping in.
No, because the thing with me is, I don't know why, I love the sun. I love it, but at night, that's when so many thoughts just come and smack me at once.
Yep.
And then it keeps my brain.
But think about the opposite. You got people who love living on a farm and every day love getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's who they are. They love it. They can't imagine sleeping until 10, 11. That's the crazy people.
Yeah.
Right? That's how they think, right?
True.
And which one is wrong? Neither. They're both right.
It's a personal preference, and we're not going to force you to do. We're not going to force you to sleep in. We're not going to force you to wake up.
Absolutely.
So my whole thing changed right there. Like you said, changed because I went from being that 16, 17, 18-year-old guy thinking, the clock's ticking. I got to hurry up and make this happen. So, hey, wait a minute. As long as I'm alive to see another day, maybe I could make more out of each day and not try to force things.
Yes, maybe, sure.
Maybe I want to enjoy myself a lot more than enjoy being surrounded by a family that I constantly got to deal with.
Yes. No, I hear you.
People change.
When I look at myself as I'm a little bit older than you guys, so when I look at myself as a youngster, I grew up in the Bronx, right? When I was a
And you
kid.
still look like a youngster.
Thank you,
Gotta
Chris.
put that
Thank
out
you.
there. You've
Thank
done
you.
a great job, man.
Thank you.
God bless.
So when I was a teenager, my parents were total Democrats, right? Reagan's bad because he's a Republican, right? That's I'm talking the 80s, right? Reagan's bad, he's a Republican. That was the only thing I was taught. But then when I joined the Marine Corps, and please. But then when I joined the Marine Corps is a very conservative group, right? Marines very conservative.
Yes.
And my first commander in chief was Ronald Reagan. So I became much more of a conservative in my own head. I never joined the party, but I changed, right? My thought process changed. When I was a teenager, 19 years old, 20 maybe even that area, I mean, I was all about USA, kill them all, let God sort them out. I was the guy who wore that shirt, right? Who wore that shirt. And I'm so not that anymore.
Yes. But I was that guy. Real quick. That was the 9/11 effect.
Yes. And I gotta tell you, the funniest thing, when 9/11 hit me, 2001, I literally was thinking of calling 1-800 Marines going back in. I was, because when I saw the second plane hit, I didn't see the first plane hit. When I saw the second plane hit, that was in me, right? That was still in me. I was like, I'm going back in. Luckily, I did not do that. But I was actually thinking that.
Many current officers from my platoon and OCS went into the Marine Corps because of 9/11.
Yes.
Many.
Absolutely. 100%.
And now that we look back on it, because 9/11 effect, a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, we're not looking at the Middle East. The way we look at the Middle East now, we're not looking at it how we did back then.
Yeah.
We blanketed them. Not everybody, just a lot of them, myself included, just out there. We blanketed them. Taliban, terrorists, Al Qaeda. Yes. These people are horrible. I've grown and changed my perspective to say, let me not blanket them.
Well, we can't generalize anybody.
We can't, but everybody has a different turning point within their lifetime. Some people as children, they love sweets and all this stuff. Some people as children love fruits and vegetables, and then it might stay the same.
Reversed.
Or it might change.
Yes.
Exactly. So just adding to what you were saying, how people change and all that. Now I look at things so different because as an example,
you just change. People change. They do, right?
I
remember when I was in my 20s, I cared about chasing women a lot. Like that was a real part of my life.
And
like that mattered
because
it was important. Like I spent my money based upon how I could chase women. I changed my days based upon how I could chase women. That was an important thing in my life. It was really important that I was chasing women a lot.
Yes.
I'm not that way anymore. Art doesn't let me do it anymore. But anyway, I'm saying.
Shout out to Mrs. Sharp.
Yes,
great woman.
But that
God
was
bless you.
that's
your
what
daughters, by the way.
But I'm not that guy anymore. That's not who I am.
I am in my 20s and I'm slowly becoming not that guy myself.
There we go. Yes.
I have a monogamous relationship that I'm very happy with.
There we go. I've been with my wife for 20 years.
And this is where the libertarianism kicks in, because I look at it on the analytical part along with individual personal preference. So I could comprehend polygamy, polygyny, and polyandry.
Sure. That is your right to.
Exactly. Everybody has their own perspectives, but as you can see right here, we just touched on that, and nobody's putting out the sledgehammer or AR.
And I
hey, you gotta agree with me. If not, it's go time.
And I hope you find as many wives as you want.
There we go. Yes. When the time comes, find as many as you want.
Exactly. It's all about how you always say, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Natural rights theory, created by Thomas Paine, and along with the co-sign of the founding fathers / Sons of Liberty, because we all agree one size does not fit all.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
100% true. And we keep trying to do it though.
Exactly.
We hear it in everything. In fact, when we get scared, we want it more.
Yes, it's
true. I say it all the time. People who are afraid make bad decisions. And I get libertarians get mad at me all the time when I say it. I go, I don't want to make people afraid. And they go, Larry, maybe we should make people afraid. That's the right answer. Get them shaken up. Yeah. And I say, but you know what? What we got from people who are afraid? Patriot Act, war on drugs, war on terror. If you're going, maybe we should shake it up. I don't know why you would think that. Evidence has shown that when we are afraid, we do bad, stupid things.
The three things you just mentioned have scarred this country for a very long time.
Absolutely.
And only the past couple of decades.
Yes. Fear.
War on terrorism, war on drugs, and
Yep.
the Patriot Act.
Even war on poverty.
Yes.
Even Jim Crow laws
Yes.
were all based of fear. People who are afraid. Gun laws based
Yes.
upon people who are afraid. Every single thing that libertarians are mad about all came about because Americans were afraid.
Absolutely.
And the libertarians go, maybe we should make them afraid.
Once you
Thank you.
you get that emotional reaction and that comes
Yes.
out of you.
Yes.
Forget it. All rational thought is gone, and analytically, more than likely, is going to lead to what? Long-term bad decisions
Yes.
that harm not only you but those around.
Well, there's also something I've come to realize in the past few years that people like feeling bad for themselves. People like being the victim, and we have to break
Because
that
we
victim
reward
mentality.
it.
Yes,
Right? It goes back to the environment. If the environment doesn't reward it, people don't do it.
exactly,
When the environment rewards it, people do it.
exactly.
People respond as a group. Obviously, individuals are different, but as a group, people respond to the environment. If the environment goes, yes, he's a victim, support him, pay him, put him up, then they do it. If they go, oh, he's a victim, oh, whatever. Things change.
Yeah, and it's getting
The other problem becomes, as we talked about earlier, the nuance is a problem, right? And I'll bring up the idea that you and I discussed earlier. I had this on my podcast 2 days ago, talking about a gentleman in an accounting firm who was about 10 years ago, maybe more. He was in his 70s at the time. He was on the phone and he called his executive assistant his girl.
Yes.
Somebody just commented, I.e. the shutdowns, complete fear.
I like it. Yes. So he responded. He said, he called his executive assistant my girl. At this point, there were many very, educated, credentialed women in that room. They didn't like it. It wasn't appropriate.
No.
He shouldn't have said it.
No.
It wasn't sexual harassment. It wasn't sexual assault.
Not even
It wasn't rape. It was a
Me
bad
Too.
thing. He shouldn't have been Me Too'd or canceled, right? But it was a bad thing. We have to have nuance and go, you know what, dude, you shouldn't say that. It's not right. You see how these women felt? That was wrong. Let's have a conversation on why you probably shouldn't say that. And that should be the end. But we don't. What we do is we go, oh my God, look at what he did. He crossed any line, therefore he's evil. So basically, you have people who literally say this. Well, if she felt like it was rape, it was rape.
And there is an actual definition to rape. And
there is a definition of rape. Correct.
Far from that.
And the worst part is, if you believe that mindset, now that guy, his career is over. He's finished. He's learned nothing. He just hates you more.
Exactly.
He's makes no change. And the women who were actually raped are now diminished.
Exactly. It only takes.
They're diminished. It takes away the actual the person who really was raped.
Yes.
But instead, have the nuance.
You cannot broaden the term rape. You can't. It only destroys.
It destroys people who actually are raped.
It's
so all I'm saying is they are still bad. It isn't black and white. If we are to be successful, we must embrace the nuance.
Yes.
What he did was wrong. He shouldn't have said it. It's not sexual assault. It's not sexual harassment. And it's not rape. It's a thing he shouldn't have said, and it should be dealt with that way.
But unfortunately, our culture is big on toxic cancellations, cancel culture, and thought police, and taking away everything from someone who says something inappropriate, but generally did not harm anyone either.
I love what you said right there. You cannot expand, take things out of boundaries, because that's all the example I was given earlier with the baseball comparison to the United States. You got to set your boundaries somewhere and just abide by that.
A double is double.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
They don't get to go third because it rolled a little further.
Thank you.
You got to run faster if you want.
Exactly. It's true.
And it ties into everything, with the United States Constitution. It's home ownership. If you purchase this land, this apartment, this condo, whatever the measurements are to that quantity of what you purchase, rent, whatever it is, you have full entitlement access to that. What you say goes within that.
Right, sure.
But anything outside of that, you have no say over.
Right.
That's what it's all about. When we deem a definition of something, like how you guys said rape and all that, somebody says something that will be deemed it's what's the word I'm looking for here? Controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let's just look at the context real quick, but
Absolutely.
not full blown polarize it. That boom, you're a criminal.
Well, you got to remember
you're
something.
a sex offender.
The goal isn't to stop the behavior. The goal is to punish the offender,
Mhm.
right? So if the goal, and it's our criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system doesn't, the war on drugs didn't make less drugs. It just made more criminals,
Absolutely.
right? So, and that's what this whole, idea of zero tolerance. Zero tolerance is not based on stopping the behavior, right? I don't want to focus on punishing the harasser. I want people to not be harassed,
Mhm.
right? And if that means punishing the harasser, I'm okay with that. But that can't be the goal. If you look at what people talk about all the time in our world is, I want justice. What's justice? Punishment. How's that justice? Right? When George Floyd was killed, right? When he died, I was the first person to say, while I want his family, he's gone. So he feels nothing.
God bless.
But his family, obviously, who loves him, they feel horrible.
Yes.
I want them to feel better. But I don't care about justice. But what? What does justice mean? Now the cop will kill them. We take him outside and we kill him. Okay, great. We take him outside. We shoot him in the head. Oh, see, we choke him out. Whatever. Got it. We choke him out. Got it. Did that bring George Floyd back?
No.
Does that give his family any? Does
it only hurts another family.
It hurts. It all does. I'm not saying you should be punished, but I'm saying the goal should be to not have more George Floyds.
Exactly.
Not the goal. Just punish. And the problem is our goal is always just punish. Oh, now there's justice. Yeah. But then what happens? There's another George Floyd then. I haven't solved the problem.
It wasn't justice enough.
It wasn't justice enough, right? Whatever.
Although also intoxication reports show that there was a large amount of fentanyl in the system which could have bled, but people don't care about that. They just wanted justice.
I don't care at all any of that, to be forward with you. What I want is no more George Floyds.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
I agree.
If cops stop putting their necks on their knees on people's necks, George Floyd's death mattered.
A lot of
if it doesn't, it's another casualty.
Even thought that was a bad thing too.
Absolutely.
Situation.
Yes. Because it's not about what he had in his body. It's not about his history, even though the history could be brought up had he had his day in court.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
It's about what's occurring in that moment. I can make a great lasagna today. You're gonna give me the acknowledgement and credit for that great lasagna you made today. I'll make a shitty lasagna tomorrow. It's all about what occurred in that moment, what boundaries were violated.
Well, but think about that. What if the toxicology is why he died? Let's think about it. I don't know if that's true, but let's think about it. If the officer doesn't put his knee on his neck, doesn't contribute, then there's no story.
You never knew about George Floyd.
There's no story.
Guy died of fentanyl, which nobody cares about anyway. Which is a huge problem in America.
Correct.
That people blindly.
That's right. So I don't want cops putting their knee in people's necks.
Exactly.
I don't know if George Floyd had died because that or now whatever. That again, not my point. But that's not my point.
Yes, exactly.
I don't care. It's not. I'm not his family. If I was his family, I probably would care.
Yes.
I'm not his family. I don't want to lie and try to be more offended than the family members. I'm not here for them to be very forward. I hope the family feels better. Absolutely. But I didn't know George Floyd. For me to act like I'm so hurt personally is simply not true. Was I affected by watching that? Yes. It was terrible. But he wasn't someone that I knew. What I care about is now that he is gone, he doesn't feel anymore. Let's make no more George Floyds.
Exactly. And that's where I'm so anti-media is the fact that the media glorified that case and made everyone with dark skin feel like a victim to police brutality. And that's not a solution to anything either.
It is a solution. The issue that we have is if you just make people second-class citizens or the classes, you don't solve the problem.
Exactly.
I'm not against. I did a whole show on the idea of slavery in America on Juneteenth. Did a whole show on Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't because I wanted everyone to feel bad for me. It wasn't because I wanted to punish cops. You've never seen me talk about punishing cops. It's not my thing. What I wanted people is just to have an actual conversation about what actually happened.
Absolutely.
So we can understand why people, that's your earlier point, why do people think the way they think? And the thing I bring up, which a lot of people don't get, why George Floyd was so strong for so many people of color. Because he was a powerful black man choked out in public.
Yes.
That is literally to a black community, that's a lynching. Mm-hmm. The way he went out mattered. Now, to someone who's not black, they might go, well, he got killed, he got killed. Maybe in your world, that's true. Maybe it is. Not in a black person's world. Mm-hmm. That's not how we see it. It's something not how we see it, right? The lynching, people don't understand. When someone's hanged by the neck and killed, the knot is on the right-hand side or left-hand side. When the bottom falls out, the person falls, the neck snaps, the person's dead. It's actually a humane way of killing people relatively, right? Lynching is not. The knot's in the back. They are literally strangled to death publicly, and everyone watches. It is a slow, painful, horrible, helpless death.
Watching this all George Floyd.
Yes, and that is what many black people saw.
And the history
they
of
saw that.
Too close for the people
yes.
to forget about it.
Look, if you have other, people who have other backgrounds, like if you're Jewish and you see Nazi swastikas. Oh, there we go. So thank you. The Holocaust is a different feeling to you than does today. I can't feel what you feel. Intellectually, I can go, oh, I get that he feels something, but I can't feel what you feel. I'm not raised in that. It's not my culture.
And me personally, I do my best to feel everyone's sorrows before I make a decision or say anything about anything.
Absolutely.
And you can't really do it.
It's a different emotion. I was trying to get that across to many people who get that emotion. Yeah. If you're not part of the black community or aren't around the black community, you may not know that.
Exactly.
So I just wanted people to understand that's why it was such a big deal.
And Hispanics as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Jews as well.
There you go. Especially the Jewish.
Yes.
Because it happened to them in mass numbers in a short amount of time.
Yes.
Now, I love what you just said right there, because that emerges into the Second Amendment.
Yes.
You have so many people who brag about, oh, I have freedom of speech, blah, 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 and then they forget that your freedom of speech is your First Amendment within the United States Constitution. How this ties into your whole Second Amendment is because you might not think or feel that you need it, because it's beyond any type of weapon. It's about the basic concept of self-defense.
Yes, it does. The Second Amendment is not about guns. It's about arms.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Which today the most common one is guns.
Yes.
But what if, whatever, 100 years from now is laser beams, whatever. Yes. Then it will be that. Whatever it is, it's about arms.
Yes. It's about being as equipped as possible to protect yourself from any immediate or oncoming threat. Because it doesn't have to be immediate. Absolutely. If you get a death threat coming this way within an hour or 2 hours, you got to be ready for it. So you see how you said you got to be considerate of others and all that? So many people say, oh, I go outside every day and I'm not worried about being shot or being robbed, blah, 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 and all that. You know what I tell them? Okay, what do you tell the people who used to think just like you until, that misfortune occurred? They went outside that day. They probably had a doctor's appointment to go to, a family relative to visit.
Buy a stray bullet or something.
Yeah.
Could have been anything.
It could have been anything. You thinking that your one-size-fits-all thought process actually jeopardized the other person.
Exactly.
Me, I always say all the time that the Second Amendment is fully embraced constitutionally. I have no problem going outside every day with a bulletproof vest on and making every single hat, cap that I wear bulletproof as possible. I don't mind me personally.
I'm not opposed to that either.
Exactly. Because I'm taking self-ownership of me without taking away from any other individual.
You're simply protecting yourself in a way that you feel is protected. People might think you're not protecting yourself.
Exactly.
You feel that you are. Yeah. Go for it.
Exactly. I'll go once if I tell a story, a story about this. A true story of when I knew a teacher, and she was a complete and total ultimate pacifist. She said, "I will never own a gun. I will never use violence, no matter what." Of course, as we're talking teachers, one guy, of course, says, "Well, what if you were going to be raped?" Of course, that question came out, and she was ready for it. She said, "No, I've already been there. I've already been in that situation, and I talked my way out of it, and I would do it again." And she said, literally, she says, "And if I couldn't, then I would rather be raped than kill someone." That's what she said. So I asked her, I said, "Would you stop some other woman defending herself with a gun? Would you stop her from them?" She said, "No." That's totally fine. If you are such a pacifist that your life, you live your truth and your values, there we go.
Yeah,
yes.
The way I see
as long as you don't stop others, you defend yourself the way you want to defend yourself in the way you believe appropriate and possible. And her way is totally valid. This is what she believes. This is her values, her truth. Awesome. Do what you feel is right in your world.
Paraphrase Sun Tzu, there are gardeners in wars and there are warriors in gardens. You can choose how you want to live.
There we go.
And I'd rather be a warrior in a garden.
I would too.
Than a gardener in the middle of a war.
Absolutely. Yes. But hey,
that's what it all ties in.
Okay. Yes.
And that's what libertarians, you have said this all the time. Jojo has said this. Spike Horn has said this. Anthony Calandru, Mashere, Tony Simon. Just want to give everybody the credit. basis of the United States Constitution and what libertarians abide by and what any position holder takes an oath to is I'm not gonna take away from anybody else due to what I want to do. Right. I'm gonna honor, respect, and uphold everybody's ability to choose and live and let live, unless they conduct an act of maliciousness against another individual.
We don't want people to initiate aggression.
Exactly. We don't
Period.
want people to initiate aggression.
No
Thank you
initiation
so
of
much.
aggression.
But also, please prepare yourself for aggression.
Yeah,
If you want to.
If you want to. No,
If
you
you
Or
want
don't.
don't.
to.
Or
If you
don't.
don't want to.
That's right.
But we're
Or
not going
don't.
to tell you not to.
That's correct. Or
And-
don't. If you choose to defend yourself with your wit and your words, good luck.
Good luck.
Who
Better be a
here
good lawyer.
who here
Maybe.
who here has experienced an earthquake, a full blown earthquake? Raise your hand.
I have one once.
You have. You have not? I have not.
I have.
You and
I
I
was
haven't
living in Japan when it happened.
exactly. That's
Yep.
when you were serving, correct?
Yep.
You and I haven't lived through an earth. We haven't experienced an earthquake up until this point in time,
There are
right?
people who are so prepared for earthquakes, they rubber band all their drawers shut and everything.
Exactly.
It's second nature to them. They leave
Thank
their house
you.
without doing it. They got to go back upstairs and take care
Being
of them.
that
before
you
they
and
leave.
I haven't experienced an
We don't.
earthquake up until this point in time, who are we to tell other people,
Mhm.
no, you're crazy, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't have everything rubber banded up and extra reinforced just in case, blah blah blah. Look what this the example you just gave. This woman said, "Oh, I would rather use my words than take any type of action against an aggressor." Perfectly fine. What did you follow up with that? When you take that option
Mhm.
away from another woman,
Yep.
she said no,
He said no.
and
said
boom,
no.
We're
that,
good.
That right
Left-leaning
there,
libertarian right
Yes.
that right there, just
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. All good.
that's what it's
All
all
good.
about. Because that's what I tell. We have a lot of females who are becoming more pro constitutionalists, more pro Second Amendment.
It's
in
an
particular.
equalizer.
Yes, it's an equalizer in the most difficult demographic, which is for the Second Amendment, the most difficult demographic to touch is
Oh, it's women.
women because they're so in fear of
Yes.
what could go wrong
Absolutely.
that they're not constructing together one a situation that they could come across in which they have to react.
Yep.
And two, what could go right by being fully equipped to react.
But it's also cultural.
It's also
It's
cultural as
cultural
well.
too, right? It's cultural, and the women aren't supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
There's a cultural aspect to it.
Yes.
I remember when I was in, I tell you story often. I was in Oklahoma, doing some libertarian event in Oklahoma, and I was in someone's home. And Oklahoma, a lot of people carry in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
A lot of people carry. So I'm in someone's house, and some people are open carrying. You can see, it's a picture of us, and there's a picture, and you can see a couple people carrying. Probably 20 people in the room. I'm guessing. You could see 3 or 4 people carrying. Probably 10 were.
Yes.
So my wife sees the picture and goes, "Oh my God, is that a gun?" I'm like, "Yeah." At least like 5 people carrying. Sure, probably more like 10.
No active shooter there though.
And she said, "Weren't you scared?" I said, "Why? I'm as safe as I could be."
Yeah. Exactly.
If somebody comes in wanting to rob this place, he's gonna have a bad night. He's gonna wish he did not pick this house.
There was that
I'm the safest
synagogue
place I
in
could be.
Pittsburgh. I don't know how long it was, last year, 2 years ago, where there was an active shooter and a member of the congregation shot the shooter.
Yes.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. 100%.
Thank you. Yes,
Yes.
because this is what I'm loving more than ever. Do you guys see what is occurring now with the Libertarian Party?
In terms of what?
Our growth?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
We are so growing. It's not funny. It's so
Yes.
obvious. We have better candidates. We have better teams. We're getting better coverage. I mean, we're polling better. I mean, look at what's happening in Arkansas with Harrington Jr. I mean, Ricky Harrington's killing it. Indiana, Rainwater's killing it. Kentucky,
Shout out
Brad
Mr.
Barron, killing it. I mean,
Yes.
just again and again. Even Dwayne Whitmer in New York,
Barron
he's
is going
made it.
against Mitch McConnell, by the way.
Absolutely.
Jorgensen's website crashed after the first debate, didn't
Yes.
I was very lucky because a lot of that came to mind.
it? Really?
Well,
So-
because she did interviews with me.
Okay, yeah.
So when people were searching for her, and you can get their website, they actually got my YouTube interview.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
it was nice.
What I wanted to tie into that was, you see how you said that women aren't supposed to, based on
Cultural issue.
past cultural issues and all that. We're providing the outlet,
Yes.
the party, the community
Yes.
of
Agreed.
showing women, hey, that's actually not true. And not only are we welcoming to that, but we're gonna have your back and fully embrace it like
Absolutely.
that. You can live your life as happily as possible because there's danger in this world, the same way there's peace in this world. We want you to be as well equipped as possible for danger and be as prepared as possible to enjoy the heck out of yourself. Because if you're
Yes.
getting ready to go to the beach or a barbecue, hey, guess what? You're fully prepared. All you're gonna do is enjoy yourself as much as possible
Yes.
at the time of your life. What we see with Democrats and Republicans, Democrats would keep women disarmed
Mhm.
for the most part, because we do have some, constitutional pro-2A Democrats.
There's some. They're wrong.
Republicans, they want women to, for the most part, not all, because there are Republican women running for political office, but for the most part, their belief is a man should lead and women should follow. What libertarians are saying is, let's refer back to the Constitution, in which we believe all individuals are created equal. Baby girl, if you're the best qualified to be that gun range owner, be the mayor, be the governor, be the president, shout out Joe Jorgensen, we're gonna have your back.
I know. I
We're not gonna hold any type of standard stigma against you.
And we're also not going to pander to the fact that you're a woman.
Yeah, we're not gonna pander
You're
to
the
your
best fit for the
We're gonna
job.
look
You're
at
the
your
best fit.
credentials.
Literally, this happened in my campaign in 2018. I think it's called Country and State. If I'm not mistaken, the name of the media outlet that did a survey to check out all of the gubernatorial candidates' teams.
Okay.
And as they did a survey, check it all out.
Whitney Sims, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Good.
Just commented that LP is the only party for women.
See that?
That's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely true.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
That's absolutely right.
But they did an actual survey to see which campaign was the most diverse. 5 campaigns running: Democrat, Republican, an Independent, Green, and me.
Yes.
Mine was the most diverse, hands down. Now
That's
I didn't
incredible.
say that; they said that. I had no quotas. I had no quota system. You saw my campaign. I
Yes.
wasn't like, I need 2 women, 1 Jewish gal, 1 Hispanic woman, 1 Asian guy who's gay. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just said whoever is the best in my party, and I wound up having a bunch of people on my team.
Well, naturally,
mixed.
libertarian values protect all people no matter what.
Correct. Yes.
It's natural.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. Oh my God.
Yes. Here we
Thank
go.
you so much. Can you repeat that one more time?
Libertarian values protect all people no matter what.
No,
Naturally.
exactly.
Naturally. That's the
Thank
important word.
Yes.
Libertarian Party principles and policies protect the individual no matter
Call it God-given, call it Constitution,
Yes.
call it whatever
Call
you like.
it
It's
inalienable.
natural.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's natural. It's common sense. What is self-defense to putting your hand over a fire that burn? Moving your hand away.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
leaving it there.
Right.
You know? And like I said, what I'm seeing now, thank God, by the way, thank you, thank JoJo and all the great people within the Libertarian Party, not to be biased, but facts are facts. If Michael Jordan could be arguably and analytically considered the greatest basketball player in the history of the NBA, the Libertarian Party could analytically, statistically, and obviously observe-wise be considered the most diverse and empowering party of the
Press
individual.
that button for yourself.
I
Current
like that. Go
point
ahead.
in time.
Yes.
Yes.
Do the horn, bro. Do the
Yes.
horn.
I earned one for myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes.
That was very well
Because
said. I like
what
that.
I'm seeing now, within minutes of talking to any woman, talking to them and showing them both yours and JoJo's videos, they're like, oh my God, it does make sense. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
We break them from that stigma.
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you know?
But almost the
Go ahead.
what if a woman wants to be more conservative and she wants to say, you know what, I want to stay home and let my man protect me. She can.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Especially under libertarian
Yes,
society.
if you want to, go ahead. Right, but what you often find is each of the left and right, they punish the other.
Yes,
Right?
the
They
polarization.
do. If you're very conservative as a woman, it's very common. Obviously not all, but you guys know it's true. It's very common for the conservative woman to kind of look down on a woman who doesn't play that conservative, who doesn't make family first, who doesn't do that stuff. They kind of look like, really? They some are openly aggressive. But they always give it that, right? And if you go to the left, it's like, well, why aren't you working? Well, why aren't you being that? Why aren't you fighting the patriarchy? Right? I'm serious. But the point is, if you want to fight the patriarchy, good on you.
Yes.
You want to stay home, good on you. Exactly. You want to do mix and match. I see the same thing with anyone else. Even anybody, even a stay-at-home mom or some CEO of some company who's a woman, they may change across their life too. They may want to be a mom at this point in life. They want to be a business owner at this part of life. They want to just, be a good sister at this part. They want to be a good mother at this point. They might shift and mix in their life too.
And also, the Libertarian Party is not just for women, it's for men as well. We are the only party that cares about a father's rights in the court.
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna get to that.
And that being said, the welfare state has, under mostly Democrats, has rewarded women for being single mothers, which has only hurt young children growing up into society.
And given the courts far too much power.
Exactly.
Given the courts far too much power.
Because we're gonna move on to fathers' rights. I just wanted to put the final stamp on that when it comes to women, being that we're the only party who allows them freedom of choice, with also including freedom of judgments. Yes, of course. What I'm loving now is that more women are coming to us more than anything, simply because, and we could all agree on this, analytically and biologically, for the most part, it has been stigma against women, and women are easier targets when it comes to danger.
Yes,
it's true.
So we're trying to
historically speaking, women and children always targeted.
Absolutely. Yes. So we're trying to equip them as much as possible, along with support them as much as possible. So I wanted to put the stamp on that, because the other parties, they'll generally broadcast that, yeah, we're for women, but how?
Yes, but how? That's the hard part. But how?
Yes. And on the reverse side of that, we don't want to force women to be armed. We want them to be armed if they want to.
We want to have the option, the freedom. Like, again, you guys like ice cream. I don't. We go to Baskin Robbins together.
Go for it. Right. Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly. That's right. They got a Dunkin'. You get some donuts.
There you go.
Exactly.
They all so much.
Yes. I'm gonna have to run.
No problem. Yeah, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, so yeah, we could touch on fathers' rights and then get to our final closing and all that. And by the way, Larry, thank you. We know that you're a very busy man. I say this often, when I make the father reference, simply because the direction you're able to set a mass group in. When I see, if you were to take that, because I see it with your daughters. Your daughters already have an entrepreneurial mindset, free of judgment, free of criticism, and free of comparison. So that's when I tie that in with me, because again, how we said the mentorship, that whole aspect of it. No matter what, there's always gonna be somebody before you who has done something so great that you want to take from that and continue it forward. Trump is always referencing George Washington, right?
Who didn't like to do opera, in fact.
That's correct.
Yes,
it would have been a modern
party system.
Yes.
So what we're seeing now is, a lot of people, for the most part, always, when they come talking about politics, always mentioning Democrat or Republican Party. Up until now, both these parties, and I'm pretty sure all of us could agree, have absolutely nothing planned and presented for fathers' rights.
Nothing. Not a thing.
Not even Larry, you can take it from there.
No, nothing. It is a money grab like there's no tomorrow. The entire court system is set up so that the state can make money off of children and families. That's what it's all about. Some of you don't know this, but if you're in New York State, and I think there's other states too, but I know New York State for sure, when you pay child support, you now have to pay it to the state. The state can register it for safety of the kids, right? But no, the state takes a cut.
They take their cut, yes.
They take a cut, just like a credit card company. So now it's in the state's best interest for you to be paying lots and lots of child support. It's in the best interest, right? Yeah, and the judges, they actually get graded based on how much money they bring in.
Really?
So of course they want. It's a money grab. That's what it's all about. Not just that the federal government gives money to the states when they take your children away. So they want you to take your children away. It's a money grab. The whole system is about a money grab and destroying the families. It's insanely bad. I don't see Republicans, Democrats say anything except, how do we raise more money? Oh, let's hammer these guys more. Let's call every guy who gets in trouble a deadbeat, right? Every woman who doesn't wrong is a drug addict.
Yes,
exactly.
Right? If any woman gets in trouble, she's a drug addict. Any man gets in trouble, he's deadbeat. Guaranteed.
The new thing is mental health. Everyone's got mental health.
Correct. Yes.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's
yes.
diagnosed with something or other.
That's it. 100%. If a woman is does anything wrong, she's bad. She's drug addict.
Yep.
Guaranteed drug addict. Man is deadbeat. Just how it works. Yes, we have to give them the that story of they're that thing, so we can punish them. Right? We have to. Otherwise, we can't. Why would you want to punish a dad who wants to see his kids? You'd be a cruel person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's a deadbeat dad. Oh, I can.
You wouldn't want your kids around him.
Exactly.
You don't want your kids around that.
Why would you want to take a child away from a woman? Right? Oh, she's a drug addict. That's why.
Exactly.
So we create that so that we can punish the families, and it's a money grab.
And it only hurts the children.
That's
Only
those are
ever
the
hurts
people
the
who are
children.
crushed. The thing I talk about always is we have a system that encourages the bad parent to win.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? If you are a deadbeat dad, if you actually are, you're gonna succeed.
Mm-hmm.
The system is set for you to succeed so that the other non-deadbeat dads get punished and they pay for you. If you're a terrible if you're a terrible mom, if you're a horrible mom, you're gonna succeed. So that all the good moms get punished for you.
Yes.
That's how it's gonna happen. You can guarantee that's how the systems work. The systems work for you to begin with the lie, and all of the lawyers are in on it.
Yes,
They're all in on it.
Absolutely.
They all want their cut.
They all want their cut. They literally come in, and what happens once you come in is they see how much money you have. You have to give out your how much money you have, so you decide to be default cash. Oh, you got $10,000? Guess how much this costs? $10,000. How much you got? 20,000? Guess how much this costs?
20,000.
That's what it costs. And I'm not making this up. Ask anybody who's been in the system. That's how it works.
It's terrible.
Terrible. But the problem why Republicans, Democrats won't back this it's a horrible system. Let me tell you why they won't back it. Because most of the people affected by the system don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
All their money went to lawyers or to their family, so they can't donate. That's why it's not lucrative.
That's why they come to us.
But I don't care. I take.
Go to you're tired, you're poor,
I take anybody who wants to make a change. And what I found for many people who've been hammered in the fathers' rights movement is many of them don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
Their money either went to a lawyer or went to their family or their kids or their family.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll give me time.
Yep.
They will give me time. If I ask them to show up, they will show up. When I ask them to show up, they'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll be there. I don't got any money, but I can show up. And they will show up all the time. They will show up. They'll give me that. There's a more important piece here. When the lies come out and everyone is hurt and battered and destroyed, as you said, the kids watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why our kids now don't want to get married,
mm-hmm.
or why they have relationship problems, or why they have mental problems, or why they're on Adderall, or why they're on drugs. Why?
Because that's what's keeping me from even considering. Yes. I'm to the point right now, mentally, just me that I might not want to be a father within this lifetime, whether we believe in reincarnation or not, simply because the way the laws and the system are set up. And to tie into that, which again gives more validation to why people should go with the Libertarian Party. What I say earlier when it comes to network marketing and the whole aspect of recruiting to your weaknesses, I might be able to explain fathers' rights, but you know what? There might be people who don't want to hear it from me within my own demographic.
Exactly.
They're gonna listen to Larry. They're gonna listen to Zach.
Or you see me bring in Cash Jackson.
There you go.
I bring him in.
And shout out Cash, by the way.
Yes,
great thing, and we're rooting for you too, sir.
Yep. Every time if he's near me, he goes on camera.
I got my Cash ring
every time. Yes, no, absolutely. So we bring on whoever is going to hear it.
Yeah,
right.
Because that's what I want people to know. There is no bias simply because we're registered libertarians and we live by the abiding standpoint of the Libertarian Party is what we offer and what is basic common sense. One size does not fit all. Teamwork, and let's find the middle ground.
You just brought up the teamwork aspect, right? And most people think, well, libertarians, you guys are selfish. It's absolutely not true.
We're selfless. We're super selfish.
It is because everything we do is not because we're coerced. Mm-hmm. We do it because we want to, right? We don't like being coerced. So how can we support each other? Because we want to. That's why we do it, because we want to.
Regardless of your personal situation.
Absolutely. We are a tighter community than most. We support each other better than most. And one of the reasons people often say, well, Larry, how did you get, how was it so fast you were able to talk about libertarian ideals and concepts? I came to the Libertarian Party actually not politics, but business. Mm-hmm. Right? As a trainer and teacher and consultant, I was already teaching what I was calling post-industrial leadership, which is the idea of leaders now don't need your arms and legs as much anymore, right? Because it's automated or we buy it overseas or something. What I need is your intuition. I need your innovation. I need your, your ability to change and shift and adjust. I need those things. How do I get that? You have to want to be part of my team. Exactly. You've got to be, as you say, you will say middle ground, I say common ground. Right? We got to find the common ground. We both want to go to the same spot. Great. The whole idea, if you do it right, for any leader, is to have diversity of thought with unity of purpose.
You have to love your mission statement.
Wow! Right? That's the goal.
My God!
Right?
Wow.
Diversity of thought with unity of purpose. If you have that, that's when you begin to win. Yes. You only do that by volunteering. I can't force you to be part of my team because then we don't have a common goal. There's no unity of purpose.
Yes.
So I was teaching that already. But now when I moved, all of a sudden I heard Gary Johnson in 2012, I was like, this guy gets it. This guy's an entrepreneur. He plays the same game. He gets it. Then I started understanding how it worked. So I was easily able to translate that into every day because I was already doing it. And the biggest piece of this is you really want success, innovation, strength. It is diversity of thought with unity of purpose.
Exactly.
It's not individualism. A team, a voluntary team that all wants to go to the same place.
And individualism feeds into the diversity of thought as well.
Correct.
Your individual thoughts as a team
contribute to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're respecting the individual
for the common goal.
For the common goal.
Yes.
Thank you. Because it's funny, you see how you said, oh, what brought me into the Libertarian Party was business. You want to laugh? The same thing that brought me in.
There we go.
3 network marketing companies, along with the current company that I work for right now. We all need the same thing. We need an economy of people who have money to be able to afford to purchase,
yes,
to
absolutely,
invest, to execute on any type of business decision. Buying a phone could be a business decision. Buying something that's going to improve your cardiovascular health is a business decision. Buying something that's going to make your muscles grow more is a business decision. What I have seen in all of the network marketing companies that I worked in was government regulations putting their knee over the neck of the individuals who want to thrive and prosper. Government regulations conducted and established by who? Both the Democrat and Republican Party. And these regulations have done nothing but hold the individuals who want to prosper back. And then they want to claim that they care about United States citizens? No, the fuck they don't. And not every single individual, but the vast majority do, because they polarize their policies that one side wins, the other side loses, and vice versa.
Yes, it's why they have the fear.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
The left is afraid of the right. The left's afraid of the right because they think the right's going to impose its will upon them, and the right's afraid of the left because they're afraid they're going to impose their will upon them, and they're both right.
Exactly. And that's what right. You get the chickens clucking and all that. You make the chickens cluck on the left side, or you make the
that's
chickens
George
cluck
Washington
on the right side.
Years ago,
George Washington
he knew that there would be just 2 parties, and he saw it. I wish it was here.
And this is another thing I always talk about. It. I always tell people all the time. The greatness of George Washington and all that. What do you like about him a lot? And a lot of people, without being involved in politics, they always say, "Oh, we like that. He wanted to create a nation that lets people live and let be." And I say, okay, and what's the continuation of that now? They said, what? And I say the Libertarian Party. When you look at individuals like Larry Sharpe, look at individuals like Marshall, look at individuals like Joe Jorgensen, like Spike Cohen, like Cash Jackson, like Gary Johnson, like Ron Paul, that's always the basis of it. All right. Are you hurting anybody? Are you robbing anybody? No. Do as you please. Do as you please. And then along with that, we got to get rid of punish culture because, again, how you said earlier, everything is more about punishing, penalizing the individual than it is about creating a long-term solution like that nobody has to be punished and thrown in a cage or fined in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I tell you what I like most about George Washington, most people don't forget. He stepped down.
He did. Exactly. He did. They wanted him to be the king.
Yes.
He didn't want it.
And he stepped down. And no matter what
you could explain it better
of anything else, he was in a world to where that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. No, because at that time there was just kingdoms.
The entire reason you don't understand the entire reason why we have a hereditary monarchy idea culture in the world wasn't because bloodline or whatever. It was because we wanted to have a safe, non-violent transition of power.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real reason.
Yes.
Right. If you ever watch any movie or watch TV show or read a book about kings, The first thing they say is, have a son. Why don't you have a son? Get married, have a son. Why would all the people around that king want to have a son so badly? Because if there's a son, there's an obvious heir.
Yes, exactly.
We're not going to go into civil war when you die. And what do the elites want? They don't want civil war. They want to make sure they're making their money, to make sure it's going well, everything goes smoothly. So all they care about is the king has a couple boys and we'll be good. We don't got to fight. Right? And this is still 1700s. That was still happening in Europe. There were still German princes killing each other and having little wars and skirmishes in the Holy Roman Empire, right? I mean, that was still happening at that time. And now all of a sudden, here comes George Washington going, no good, I'm all right. I'm good.
The leader of the newly founded only free country in the world at that time stepped out.
Yes.
It's changed everything.
Exactly. Because what had happened, they just saw what they escaped.
Yeah.
The definition of insanity is repeating the same steps or process while expecting different results. This was going, and it should be, a nation that was going to run on that percent.
Right.
So we're going to try something different
Broke away from it.
and break away from it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. Now, Larry, because out of anybody here, I'm not trying to take credit away from the Z Dot or myself, but arguably and analytically, nobody could explain it better than you. How do we get this message? How do we get this message? Because it's growing now, but
it is.
How do you summarize to get this message to people coming into the United States now, making this their land to continue their life?
100%. Let me tell you exactly how this works. Two things we have to worry about. Number one, realize that while it's going slowly, it is going straight up. Our movement is going straight up. There will eventually be a tipping point.
Yes.
I don't know what that point is. That might be 1 year from now. That might be 10 years from now. I don't know what it is. But eventually, we're going to get enough people to where we explode.
Exactly.
That's how it works. Things don't just go slow. They go slow, and then boom. You hit the point to where now everyone's got an iPhone, right? No one had an iPhone until everybody had an iPhone, right? It slowly went up until now everyone's got one. Our movement's the same. I don't know when that will happen.
Be one viral podcast away.
We could be one away. This might be it right here, guys. This might be
the world, guys.
This might be it right here. You never know. This might be the tipping point. There is one at one point. So I want us to keep going because it absolutely works. But how do we get new immigrants to care for the Libertarian Party? Focusing on one thing: entrepreneurship. If you see every single immigrant community in the country, every one of them, all of them come here with an entrepreneurial spirit. Every one of them, hands down, has always come here with, I'm going to build my own thing.
Highly skilled individual as well, that they come here and they can't apply that skill to this country because they're not allowed to because of lack of funding or whatever that may
or
be.
licensing
policy.
Oh, and that is why do you think so many immigrants buy franchises? It gets around all the entrepreneurial stuff they don't know about. That's why so many buy franchises. It makes sense. That's why so many franchises literally market to the entrepreneur community. So should we. They market to the immigrant community as on that. We should also. If we focus on the idea of not requiring a license, right? That why doesn't immigrants buy medallions? The taxi cabs here in New York City, because that's the way you get around everything else. You buy a medallion, you say, right? That's why so many.
I didn't know
right?
that.
Well,
ownership.
I knew every day.
Yes, I mean that's the reason I do it, right? You find most people who have medallion cabs, most of them immigrants,
and it's very difficult to obtain modern.
Absolutely, right? And so what as we attacked the medallion system, it was an attack on immigrants.
Exactly.
So it was.
Absolutely.
Attack on immigrants and families. So it was. So we need to make it easier for them to get out and be like Uber drivers instead. Or to open up diner, right? If you look at every community that's come to this state, this country, in New York City specifically, think about how many Koreans opened up either grocery stores or cleaners. Absolutely. So many, right? How many Greeks opened up diners? How many Italians opened up restaurants? Right? How many? I mean, so many. It was we used to call it a Chinese cleaners because it was so common that an Asian person would own the cleaners. There was almost always a family that came from some East Asian country. It was either Korea or China, Hong Kong. It was something like that when I was a kid. We used to call it the Chinese cleaners because it was so often that Asian people owned these things, right? And it kept happening. That's how each community grew. How many times do you see 7-Elevens owned by Indians?
Yes.
So often. Why? That's how they grow. If you look at every single community in this country, it's entrepreneurial spirit.
It is.
And one great thing you have always said, when you remove government regulations, are subconsciously but still effectively restoring community.
Yes, absolutely. So you don't want to get rid of standards. The problem is most people think the only standard can come from the government.
Mm-hmm.
It can come from communities. You can still create community standards. And when do we do that? Two ways I remember right now. Look at the health food stores, natural food stores. They're not regulated by the FDA.
Huh?
They're not. Most of their products are not FDA regulated. Where's all the deaths?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
The healthiest people you know shop in those stores.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And where's all the deaths? I don't see them. What happened? These are community standards. But I'll go one step further. I don't know if it's true now, but back in the day, when you bought a radio, right? When people buy radios. When you buy a radio, on the back of a radio, there'd be a little UL stamp. That's Underwriters Laboratory. That would say this is a good product. That's what it used to be. That's not a government organization. There were no government regulations on building electronics. It was only by the private market.
But actually, with built electronics, you wanted that stamp because it let the consumer know that it was.
And I still remember because when I was a kid, you didn't buy our product, didn't have that. If you didn't have that stamp on it, this is back in the day. I'm dating myself. It's a little bit racist being for how it was. You know, oh, that's a cheap Japanese product. Yeah. Back in the 80s, we thought that. In the 70s, we thought that. Oh, now we did the cheap Chinese product. Think that now. That's our now current process. But yes, but back then it was, oh, it's cheap Japanese product. We don't want that. There's a UL symbol. Cheap Japanese products. We thought in the 70s, right? UL, it wasn't government. It was private market.
Exactly. Another simplified example that you gave a while back that I completely love. When you remove like the government regulations, but you still keep just a simple basis of standards. If a barber that you tried one time sucks, not only are you not gonna go back there again, but you're gonna let everybody else know.
Always.
And what do you do right there? You're sending out a message to that barber.
Yes, you are.
You gotta get your quality and the standards you hold yourself to up even more.
The power of Yelp and all these consumer.
Absolutely. You know, well, I'll use one. You told me that you're Jewish, right? Yeah. You obviously know people who keep kosher households.
Yeah.
The little U symbol on the food.
Exactly.
The Orthodox Union.
Yes.
Is that right? Orthodox Union. It's about all the time. You find places they'll have a little U on it, right? If you want to. Now, if you don't care about kosher, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter to you. But if you want to keep a kosher household, you go there. There's no government regulation on kosher. Mm-hmm. You either trust the circle you or not. Now, what if you want to keep a kosher household and you found out that the food you bought with the circle you wasn't kosher?
You're pretty upset.
Oh my God! You would. Oh my God! Like that would be the end of the world.
It is.
You would really be angry, and boy, like to your point, everybody would know.
Mm-hmm.
The whole world would know, and that's my point. You need standard. Now, what? How does the government know what's a kosher standard? It doesn't, and it shouldn't. Only the Jewish community knows that.
The government should not know.
And if there is a change, I don't know if you change kosher, but if I have no idea. But if let's say, for example, there's different readings of the Torah, and you change kosher. I'm making this up for the sake of argument. Who would know? The Jewish community would know.
Exactly.
And the standards would change based upon the Jewish community.
And the government should not know.
At all. But here's the worst part. If you have a standard, if let's say you have regulation, when is that kosher regulation? There is one, but there was. When would it change? When the Torah is, reinterpreted? No. When corporate lobbyists write it.
Exactly. That's the problem with
government
involvement.
Regulations are always changed when corporate lobbyists change them. Not when actual things change.
Yes.
Right? So let's say in the case of United Laboratories. Well, technology changes, right? From a radio to whatever it is now to the iPhone, whatever changes. So their standards change as it changes. What if it was government run? Only changes when the government sponsored corporate lobbyists
change enough to.
And that removes a government body for the people.
Correct.
Because it creates a government of lobbyists for lobbyists.
Correct.
Lobbyists.
Yes.
Now, I'm so happy how you summarize things. You make difficulty turn simple. Any difficult topic to explain,
I try.
You simplify it at an amazing level and summarize. So, I put the flag on and all that because he's of Puerto Rican descent, along with Jewish Puerto Rican as well. So am I.
The definition of New York.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes.
Now, Larry, I just want to have you on record saying it. Why should Puerto Ricans vote libertarian? Simply because Puerto Ricans are the only Hispanic race, ethnicity that can come into the United States and vote without having to convert into citizens, because by default they already are citizens, right? Why should they vote
We are the
libertarian?
only ones who have an actual answer.
The only
The
ones.
only ones. If you look at Republicans, Democrats, they do nothing.
Mhm.
As a general rule, Republicans don't even want to imagine statehood for Puerto Rico because they're afraid of being two more Democratic senators.
Mhm.
So Republicans are just against the idea, period. And Democrats like it the way it is because they keep it just the way they are. And most people who don't know, Puerto Rico, most of its politics isn't actually left or right. It's statehood versus not statehood.
Yeah.
Right. Most of them
at heart.
yes, most of Republican politics is not about really left or right. It's more about statehood or not. So we should respect that. Number one, the Jones Act should end. It's crushing Puerto Rico for no reason whatsoever. And also Hawaii too. But
Yes.
you know, on the East Coast it's Puerto Rico, West Coast it's Hawaii.
Mhm.
Right? We should get rid of the Jones Act. It shouldn't exist. It's silly. Also Alaska. Why is this even happening? It's a silly thing. It should go away. No one talks about that except libertarians.
Mhm.
Number one. Second, we want Puerto Ricans to decide: do you want to be a state or do you want to be independent? And
Giving them the
libertarians
option.
actually don't care which one.
Mhm.
As a party, we want you to be happy with your decision.
Mhm.
Personally, I want Puerto Rico to become a state.
And I agree with that.
I feel close to Puerto Rico, being born and raised in the Bronx. I feel close to Puerto Rico. I want to be a state.
You got a lot of
However,
Puerto Ricans around you.
I am not Puerto Rican, so I don't get to decide that.
You sure do look it.
Right? Yes, people do it, but I don't get to decide that. I give my opinion. My opinion, Puerto Rico's a mistake. That's my opinion.
And along
But
with
I don't
opinion,
get
you
to
offer
decide.
a solution,
Yes,
a tangible, realistic solution.
absolutely, but we can make it to where it can actually work for us.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
We can actually make it work for us. We can make Puerto Rico an actual state. And more importantly, make it a state we can deal with their debt,
Mhm.
which is the biggest problem right now in Puerto Rico, is dealing with their debt.
Well, we're on the topic of
Puerto Rico's debt is a serious problem. And people don't talk about that either. What Democrat Republicans talk about that? None. Only libertarians talk about it.
Yes.
Puerto Rico's debt is a problem because it can't, Puerto Rico can't do bankruptcy like other states can, and it's a big convoluted thing on how it works. They can't make their own money, all types of problems. They can't create any trade deals, all kind of problems with that. They could, but how do you rebuild the Puerto Rican economy and end the Jones Act and begin to shift the idea of what being Puerto Rican is? The problem with that is Puerto Rico should have been more like Cuba in one important way. Cuba was, prior to becoming communist, it was a amazing tourist place.
Yes, it was.
Amazing
During,
Batista. Correct, amazing. Why isn't Puerto Rico that? It should be. Let's end the war on drugs in Puerto Rico because drugs is also turning up Puerto Rico.
Yes, it is.
Drugs turning up. End the war on drugs. Promote. Get rid of the Jones Act. Promote tourism in Puerto Rico. It is a beautiful place to be. People, it should be a tourist. It should be 10 times better than Jamaica. It should be. It isn't, but it should be.
It's like an island Times Square.
Absolutely. It should be that, and it isn't. And of course, more than anything, talk about their debt. How are we going to fix Puerto Rico's debt? We got to restructure their debt. And if you make a mistake, federal government can do it. If you don't make a mistake, you can still have our bank mistake.
Exactly.
That's why Puerto Ricans should vote libertarian.
Yes, yes.
Mr.
yes.
Sharp. In modern times, abortion is a big topic on
Yep.
both the right and the left. What is your libertarian solution, maybe to unite the left and right? Is that even possible at this point? Or?
I'm unsure if it is, but what I tell you is I find most people who are pro-life are accepting of my stance, even though they don't love it. They go, you know what? Good enough.
Yes.
Most do that. I don't call myself pro-life because pro-life means, by default, in the community, that you want to outlaw abortion.
Yeah.
I don't want to outlaw abortion. I want to make
option choice.
correct. I want to make sure that abortion is obsolete.
Yes.
I want to end abortion and make less abortion without question. But what I realize is government can't do that.
Outlawing
Government won't do
anything
that.
only allows it to happen.
Thank you. You cannot actually outlaw abortion. You can outlaw safe abortion.
Yes.
That you can do. But you can't out. You can. And how do I know that?
There will be underground abortion.
The
Yes.
Irish are a perfect example. The Irish have recently said we're done. You just abortion is legal, and they had they were anti-abortion for decades
In Ireland.
in Ireland. Yes.
Okay. I
And
didn't
why?
know this.
Well, because the Irish wealthy Irish women just fly to London.
Exactly.
So what winds up happening? You just punish poor women.
Mhm.
And when you outlaw abortion, you wind up in the long run just punishing poor women. But instead, I'm against the pro-life person who just yells, "I'm pro-life, yeah," and does nothing to actually make less abortions. In fact, there are literally Republicans who say I'm pro-life when they, and I'm not making this up, literally had their mistress have an abortion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the pro-life
So
Republican that people love. Someone get behind him because he's pro-life. No, he yells pro-life, but does nothing. Correct. He panders. I don't pander. I tell people who are pro-choice, I am not going to take away the choose ever. I'm not going to allow the government to put their hands on a woman's body. I'm not going to do that. I tell people who are pro-life, I'm going to go out of my way. I am absolutely 100% anti-abortion. I want people to not have abortions. I want women to not choose abortion. So I want to create an environment where women don't choose abortions. That is what I will go out of my way. And I will promise anyone who is pro-life, if you elect me to any office, in any place that I'm in charge of in any way, shape, or form, I will guarantee you less abortions in that jurisdiction. If that doesn't happen, judge me accordingly. Exactly. I have no problem standing up and talking about abortion. Many people run away from it. If you're in a district that's purple, well, you'll usually, if you're not red or blue, if it's a blue district, you go pro-choice. Red district, you go pro-life. Purple, you go, it's just established law. That's what you say. I say it is established law. It's true. And we're not going to end abortion. Even if we outlaw Roe v. Wade tomorrow, the states just codify it locally. Exactly. And New York has tons of abortions every single year. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why is how I fix that. Number one, it just happened recently. They just started to open up the idea of surrogacy. New York State was against the law to be surrogacy. Like, in other words, if a woman is pregnant, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of families who would happily pay all her medical bills, take care of her to get that baby. Against the law in New York State. Adoption is so hard. People are going to China and Romania to go get babies. Yeah. Why? There's tons of adopted babies here. I'm adopted. It's personal for me. I was adopted. Right? So it's personal for me. Adopt babies here in New York State. Make it easier. Yes. Make contraception over the counter. Let people just go buy contraception. Why does a doctor decide that? Go buy it if you want to. Exactly. Do these things, and you will find as we begin to talk about it and have a culture of discussing this, versus just going, if you're pro-life, I love you, or I hate you. If you're pro-choice, I love you, or I hate you. Instead, show respect to both, which I do show respect to both. And I tell people that I will make an environment where less women will choose abortions. Now, once you do that, you will have less abortions.
Is part of that solution ending federal funding to
there is no way that, to be very clear, Planned Parenthood has every single right to exist as a nonprofit. It should not be government funded. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. If you want to give your money to Planned Parenthood, you should please do so. It is your money and your right. But the problem that I have with it being government funded is now it doesn't have to respond to culture. Exactly. If we change culture, right, to be, are there other options for you? And if the donor base of Planned Parenthood is donor based, it will adjust to its donor base. Exactly. So as the culture changes, Planned Parenthood changes.
Absolutely. Valerie Vega just commented to make that point clear because the government tries to make things hard and unnecessarily expensive.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Yes. So culture will change, then Planned Parenthood will change.
And that is where I think libertarians are leading the abortion stance as well.
I think it's true. Topics. Yes. Mm-hmm. For other people, it's just for everyone who's not a libertarian, or maybe Greens, maybe, but most libertarians, anyone else, it is simply a black or white wedge issue to judge people on.
Pro-life.
You're pro-life and I love you, or pro-choice and I love you, or I'm the opposite, I hate you. Yeah. That's it. Exactly. That's it.
We're not going to stop it. Outlawing it wouldn't stop it.
Never does. Never does. Never does.
I am against abortion personally, but I know that if we outlawed abortion, there would be underground abortion clinics. It's never going to end.
100%.
Let's just stop
more severe, like threatening abortions. Thank you. You see, Larry, and a lot of people get mad at me for this. I try to not go too in depth when it comes to putting people's business out there. But you brought up the fact that you're a product of adoption rather than abortion, but still giving the people the option of abortion. And that's what I genuinely, just me as an individual, which I'm pretty sure a lot of other people agree with. What I love about you is you seek solutions both that function in the short term, but that lasts in the long term.
Yes.
I love that because that's what I'm about. Always trying to find a solution rather than just remain stuck on the problem and just feel defeated.
Right. Or the reverse. Yell and then feel like you've done something.
Yes, yell and feel like you've done something.
See, I called him out on this. I'm helping. You're not. You're feeding the fire. Right? It's a big thing. I've got to call people out on stuff. Does it change their mind? You're actually feeding the fire. Do you see me yell and call people out all the time? No, it feeds the fire. Well, this guy's bad because this. We gotta hate this guy. Okay, doesn't that help too? Who got help? Nobody. I fed the fire. I don't want to.
Thank you.
Anyway, brother, I gotta run.
So, all right, before you go, can you give us 1 or 2 minutes, however you choose to do so? As libertarians, we honor the option choice.
You're taking away his 1 or 2 minutes.
A summarization of why people, if they're not sure whether they're Democrat, I'm going to continue voting Democrat, Republican, I'm going to continue voting Republican, Libertarian, and concerned about whether it's worth voting Libertarian or independents who've never voted.
Let me give you one thing you can do. You can literally head over to www.beadvocates.org and take the test. It is called the world's smallest political quiz, beadvocates.org. Take it and see where you stand. You might stand more left, you might stand more right, you might stand more authoritarian, you might stand more libertarian, but take it. I would bet you're closer to libertarian than you think. That's what I would bet, because almost everybody is closer than they think. So that's number one. Yeah, correct. And if you answer the questions on this, it's a 1 minute. 1 minute is all it is. You take that test, you'll find out how close you are. If you feel closer, consider libertarian for very important. Think if you live in New York. If you live in New York is going to go to Biden. Our 29 votes are going to Biden. If you're a Democrat, congrats. If you're a Republican, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter. That's going to happen. We are about 3-1 Democrat to Republican in our state. Biden's going to win by over 1 million votes. I'll bet anybody any amount of money they want. I'll sign my house over to you. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. That's how sure I am that Biden will win this state by over 1 million votes. I know this more than most because I've covered this state physically 3 years in a row, every single county. I have met people. I see what's going on. In the reddest states, there are Biden support. In the reddest counties, there are Biden support. Yes. And that was not true in 2016. That is true this year. You can go outside and literally see a barn painted Trump 2020, no more bullshit. Painted in a barn. You go to North Country, Western New York, see it painted in a barn. Drive a mile down the road in a small town. Biden, Harris, Biden, Harris, Biden. You've seen it. Absolutely. This state's going blue. So if you're going to vote blue or red, you are literally throwing your vote in the garbage.
It's adding to the fire.
It's adding to the fire. It's showing them they don't have to do anything. Here's what I'll tell you. You should vote for Biden the next time Biden comes to your town to talk. Yeah, never. They don't come here. No. Why would they? No. Because they know the state's theirs. That's my point. Vote for Trump. The next time he comes to your town, vote for Trump. That's exactly right. Libertarians came here. Trump didn't come to your town. If you live in New York State, let's give the New York City to get money. If you live in New York City, he came to get money. But, correct. But he didn't come to your town. He didn't come see you. He didn't talk to you. It wasn't genuine. What? No, it didn't matter. He didn't want to come here. He didn't need to. He knows this state's blue. It makes no sense to come here. Biden did not come here because he hates New York. He didn't come here because it made no sense because we're giving him our votes anyway. And you might, well, I'm mad about that lie, so I'm going to show Biden and vote Trump. You're not showing anybody anything.
Show the duopoly as a whole.
Thank you. Show them the system sucks. It's not the right answer. And vote Joe Jorgensen.
There we go.
Now, if you do that, you have shown them that they don't own your vote. Absolutely. Imagine for a minute that Jorgensen gets 300,000 votes in New York City. Imagine New York State, 300,000 votes in New York State. That'd be amazing. 300,000 votes would be awesome. We get ballot access, so we actually have an option to be on the ballot in 2021, 22, 23, 24, which means you will get better Democrats and better Republicans.
So both of them, we're tired of it.
Bingo. And then if we can get 300,000 votes, that's enough votes for me to get scared. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Now, Biden's going to win by over 1 million. It's not going to change the outcome. Right? And I don't know if Trump's going to win. If Trump wins, he wins the same way he won last time without New York State. That's how he won last time. If Biden wins, he wins the way Obama won with New York State. Mm-hmm. Either way, Trump's not getting New York State, Biden's getting it. Either way. So you're not changing the outcome of the election, but you are voting for the future.
Yes.
You are letting us give them the hell we need to give so they'll be better Democrats. Wouldn't it be nice if Democrats were about civil liberties? They're supposed to be. Very nice. That's what they're supposed to be. Wouldn't it be nice if Republicans were actually about small business and lower taxes? And it'd be great. Second Amendment. Wouldn't that be great if they're about that? That'd be great. If you have a libertarian option, they must be.
Yes.
Otherwise, they just go pro-life, pro-choice. We vote, and they go off
More
with their own thing.
pandering, more nothing.
More pandering, more nothing. Make that change that you vote Joe Jorgensen
Make
this
the
year
switch,
in
vote
New York. Vote gold, be bold. You got to do it. But more than that, there are people watching who are like, Larry, why aren't you running? I wish you were running. I can't vote for you. Yeah, you can. Vote gold this year.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
A vote for Dr. Jorgensen is a vote for me.
It's a vote for me. So vote. Yes, you can. If you love me, you vote for me. I hope all of you love me.
And also
I
vote
hope
for
you vote for me.
themselves too.
But yes, vote for Joe Jorgensen. Go out voting for me. You're voting for my party. You're voting for my movement. You're voting so we can run in the future. Some of you want me to run next year or the year after? Well, if we can't get in the ballot, I can't, can I? So if you want me to vote, vote for me this year. Vote gold this year. That's why you should vote gold.
Very well
Thank you
said.
so much, Larry. When I believe in giving people their flowers while they're alive. I appreciate you so much, as does Zeta. Thank you so much for today and everything that you've educated us on.
Absolutely.
And
Good seeing you guys.
Welcome to the Fix for New York.
Yes.
Fix for New
Please
York.
come
And
back.
we'll have you back again.
Absolutely, of course. Yes, absolutely.
Often as you
Yeah,
want
I
to come
heard
out.
it
Alright,
here
guys.
first.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.